Chapter 1828. No matter what, since she had been misunderstood, she had to pretend to be sick for a few days. Otherwise, after causing so many people to worry for so long, it would be strange if she wasn't hunted down collectively. Not to mention anything else, she couldn't get past Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi. If they found out that she had pretended to faint, they would hate her to death. Not to mention that there was also Yi Qianxian. Luo Qingtong thought so, and the corners of her lips twitched even more. At this moment, Yi Qianxian walked in from outside. The man was holding a bowl of porridge in his hand. Luo Qingtong looked at the pale white porridge that was useless except for rice grains. She suddenly felt that even if she only pretended to be sick for a few days, it would be miserable. So she could only eat this during this period of time? Luo Qingtong looked at the bowl of porridge with resentment. At this moment, Yi Qianren was already in front of her. He helped her up. Luo Qingtong subconsciously wanted to pick up the bowl of porridge. However, before she could move, Yi Qianxian had already sat beside her. He scooped up a spoonful of porridge, put it to his lips and blew on it. Then he clumsily fed it to her lips. Yi Qianxian's movements were very unnatural. It was obvious that he had never done such a thing before. The truth was naturally so. With his noble status, who did he need to serve? He didn't even have the chance to look at others. That small white porcelain spoon almost directly poked Luo Qingtong's face and almost knocked her teeth. Luo Qingtong looked at Yi Qianxian and couldn't come back to her senses. This man was feeding her? However, she was clearly pretending to be dizzy. Her hands weren't broken? Luo Qingtong looked at her hands that had already reached out of the quilt and seriously suspected that there was some kind of brainwave misunderstanding between herself and Yi Qianxian. Qianren. Cough. Since she was still pretending to be sick, Luo Qingtong tried to speak in a weak tone. She blinked her eyes and looked at the man in front of her, who was still handsome and noble even though he was slightly haggard. She said, "My hand is fine." It would be troublesome if this man thought that she was seriously injured. Luo Qingtong just didn't want him to be angry, but she didn't want him to be too worried. "I know." Yi Qianxian glanced at her. If something happened to her hand, he would not be here right now. He would definitely go to the hidden world and slaughter the entire celestial palace. You've used up too much of your mental energy. You've slept for so long. It'll be troublesome if you don't have any energy left. Let me feed you. This time, when Luo Qingtong fainted, it really scared Yi Qianxian. He still remembered the feeling of the girl falling into his arms. After that, he hurriedly took her back to the imperial city, and she fainted in his arms. That feeling of losing her almost drove Yi Qianren to the brink of insanity. If he hadn't carefully checked that Luo Qingtong's body was fine, and that she was just unconscious, he was afraid that he would have lost control of himself long ago. Fortunately, he remembered that Luo Qingtong's mental strength was exhausted. Perhaps that was why she fell into a deep sleep. That was why he had waited patiently for it. Now that he heard Luo Qingtong seriously doubting his intelligence, the veins on his forehead twitched, but he finally suppressed them. This woman's body wasn't good, so he wouldn't argue with her for the time being. She was really restless even when she was injured. Chapter 1829. Open your mouth. Yi Qianxian said. Oh. Luo Qingtong looked at him seriously feeding her, and unconsciously opened her mouth. She felt very strange. This was the first time she had been served like this. This feeling of being fed was so strange. It was just that the person feeding her wasn't very skilled. After Luo Qingtong was poked in the tooth by the spoon for the nth time, her face was full of black lines as she thought to herself. However, Yi Qianxian's ability to adapt was very fast. After a few times, he grasped the best distance and strength. After that, Luo Qingtong wasn't poked again. The two of them fed each other, and soon the bowl of porridge was empty. Luo Qingtong was really hungry. She ate 5 bowls in a row before she felt full. When she wanted to eat the 6th bowl, Yi Qianxian took the bowl away. It's not good to eat too much. His expression was indifferent as he looked at Luo Qingtong and frowned slightly. You just woke up. Rest for a while before you continue eating. As he spoke, he asked someone to bring some fruits for Luo Qingtong to quench her thirst. Luo Qingtong ate the grapes that Yi Qianxian peeled for her, and inexplicably couldn't come back to her senses. Yi Qianxian was really gentle like this. Luo Qingtong looked at the man in front of her who was gentle and meticulous. Suddenly she blinked and said, "I want to be fed by Yin Bao." It was rare for Yi Qianxian to be so easy to talk to. Luo Qingtong felt that she had to take an inch and take a mile. Otherwise, after this incident, she didn't know when the next opportunity would be. Luo Qingtong's words rang out. In an instant, the veins on Yi Qianxian's forehead popped out as he was feeding Luo Qingtong fruit. "This woman." "No," he said stiffly. The image of the cute little fox was one of his dark histories. It was fine in the past, but now she wanted him to take the initiative to change back? This was impossible. "No." Luo Qingtong rolled her eyes, and then decisively pretended to be weak. I suddenly feel a little dizzy." She held her forehead. "Luo, Qi." Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth. He looked at Luo Qingtong holding her forehead. The veins on his forehead popped, but he suppressed them in the end. This woman had just woken up. This time, she had used up too much of her spiritual power. He didn't know if there would be any side effects. He had already sent someone to invite Elder Yu. Before that, he would just let her be. With that thought in mind, Yi Qianxian's face darkened and he didn't say anything else. "I'll transform." He squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. With a swoosh, the man released the power that was suppressing the demonic fox blood curse in his body. Soon, after a faint silver light, a furry, round little thing appeared on Yi Qianxian's gold-threaded silver robe and wriggled out. A small silver fox stuck its head out of Yi Qianxian's oversized robe. Then the 2 little ears fluttered, and the little claws crawled out of the hole, one step at a time. Silver treasure. Luo Qingtong saw the little silver fox crawl out of the robe and happily picked it up. Yi Qianxian looked at her happy expression with displeasure. He raised his paw and slapped her face in disgust, telling her to let go of him. Luo Qingtong didn't care at all. She originally thought that after returning from the northern region, she would never see Yi Qianxian turn into a silver fox again. Chapter 1830. She grabbed the silver fox's paw and kissed it. Then she put it on the long table in front of her and looked at it expectantly. "Humph." Yi Qianxian snorted coldly. With a cold face, it raised its paw and pushed the fruit plate in front of Luo Qingtong. "Oh, eat. I want Yin Bao to feed me." Luo Qingtong looked at it with a smile. After the man turned into Yin Bao, his face was full of disdain and arrogance. It was too cute. This was breaking the rules. She heard that the duration of the demon fox blood curse was 3 years. After 3 years, she wouldn't be able to see Yi Qianxian turn into Yin Bao again. She had to work hard to seize the opportunity. Yi Qianxian looked at her with a dark face. The smile on the girl's face was indescribably bright. It made her look full of vitality and a lot better. Thinking that she had just woken up from her coma, Yi Qianxian's temper disappeared. "Oh." It raised its paw and walked in front of the fruit plate. There were already diced fruits on it. There were thin bamboo sticks on them. Yi Qianxian used its cute fox paw to fiddle with the bamboo stick, trying to hold it up. Podgy! The gap between its paws was too big. It couldn't hold the bamboo stick tightly. In an instant, the diced fruit fell to the ground. However, Luo Qingtong had already put a small bowl in her hand under Yi Qianxian's paw and caught the diced fruit. "It's delicious." She ate the diced fruit. Then she took one to feed Yi Qianxian. The man snorted coldly and ate it. Then he used his paw to fiddle with another bamboo stick, and continued to feed Luo Qingtong fruit. This woman was really a disaster in his life. In the past, he would never have thought that such a disaster would appear in his life. It made him so angry that his teeth itched, but he also loved her to the bone. Yi Qianxian's cute fox face was cold. He was doing something he would never do in the past. The man and the fox fed each other, and soon, the plate of fruits was cleaned out. Bei Qing and Wind Feather, who were standing guard not far away, were so shocked that their jaws dropped. Master actually turned into a silver fox? Bei Qing raised her hand and poked Wind Feather, who was beside her, and asked, "Am I dreaming?" With his master's personality, he actually turned into a silver fox when the evil doctor already knew that he was Yin Bao. Oh my God! Did he see wrongly? You're not dreaming. Feng Yu's lips twitched. Ever since her master fell in love with the evil doctor, she had been lowering her bottom line. In the future, it seemed that he would never return from the path of being a slave to his wife. The scary thing was that his master didn't think that. He still felt that he wasn't indulging the evil doctor. Oh my God, master, you've already done this, and you still don't call this indulgence? That's right, this can't be called indulgence. This is called extreme adoration. Feather's lips twitched. He was glad that this was the true Spill continent and not the other side, otherwise. Just based on his master's actions, he didn't know how big of a wave it would set off. Thinking of those people who knew that Yi Qianxian had someone he liked, they had never stopped their actions in probing. Feather's heart was very cold. It had been half a year since then. Those people's actions were getting bigger and bigger. Chapter 1831. Those people would find their way here sooner or later. At that time, the existence of the evil doctor would be exposed. He didn't know how much blood he would have to face. Master's identity meant that those who stood by his side would not live a peaceful life. He didn't know if the evil doctor could withstand it. Evil doctor, you have to improve your strength as soon as possible, he secretly said in his heart. After all, those people couldn't deal with Master, so they would inevitably turn their attention to her. The position beside Master wasn't something that ordinary people could stand on. Moreover, she couldn't stand up. Luo Qingtong didn't cultivate an imperial city for long. After helping Su Yu and the others purify all the immortal jade bones that they had hunted before, she left with Yi Qianxian and went to the hidden world. She wanted to go to beast-taming King Valley to investigate Luo Jinghong. If not, Luo Qingtong would have waited for Su Yu and the others to improve their strength before going to the hidden world together. After all, after the eruption of the aura in the land of the fallen immortals, it would be a month before the aura in the land of the fallen immortals weakened. At that time, it would be the best time to enter the land of the fallen immortals. It was also the time when the powerhouses of the hidden world would enter once a year to search for treasures and try their luck. With Su Yu and the others' current strength, they could go in and try. What if they gained something? However, there were still many monsters in the space at the bottom of the cliff. It would be better for Su Yu and the others to gain experience than to go to the hidden world. In addition, Luo Qingtong came here in advance because she had something to do alone, so she didn't bring them. Shua. Luo Qingtong, Yi Qianxian and the others disappeared in the passage between the true Spill continent and the hidden world. The hidden world was the gateway between the outer realm and the true Spill continent. It was the true Spill continent's world within a world. The thin barrier was not as difficult to break as the outer realm. As long as one's strength was above the sage realm, they could tear it apart and enter. Luo Qingtong would have been in the hidden world if it weren't for the fact that she had to go to the northern territory and the unforeseen events that happened in the southern territory. However, this delay would only be beneficial to Luo Qingtong and not detrimental. Other things aside, her strength had already risen to the Saint Lord realm. Not only that, but she also received news about Luo Jinghong. Although he wasn't sure if the person who was captured by the beast-taming King's Valley was Luo Jinghong, some news was better than no news at all. Luo Qingtong hadn't told Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yanxi about this yet. After all, the matter had not been decided yet. If he told them too early, it would inevitably cause them to be even more disappointed. Furthermore, if that person was really Luo Jinghong, who knew what happened to him when he was chased by the beast-taming King's Valley. Before she thoroughly investigated this matter, Luo Qingtong did not intend to reveal it to Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yanxi. He hoped that the final result would be good. Otherwise, he was afraid that Grandpa and Grandma wouldn't be able to take it. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. The group of people appeared in the hidden world and quickly rushed in the direction of the beast-taming King's Valley. Before Luo Qingtong came, she had already asked Yin about the situation and terrain of the hidden world. She was not completely unfamiliar with this place. At this time in the beast-taming King's Valley, the beast-taming King Guguju was furious. Bastard! A bunch of trash. Chapter 1832. Beast Tamer King Guguju's aura was overbearing. The group of Beast Tamer Valley elders and disciples that were responsible for investigating all lowered their heads, not daring to utter a single word. They were also very depressed. They thought that this would be a simple mission. After all, the ones that died were a group of Beast Tamer Valley disciples. With such a large target, it should have been easy for them to investigate. Even if the other party destroyed the corpses, they should still have been able to leave behind some clues. But what was strange was that they only found out that Han Dong and the others had gone to the True Spill Continent's mortal world. No one thought that in the True Spill Continent's mortal world, there would be a powerhouse that could kill them. After all, Han Dong was not only a Saint Master Realm powerhouse, but also a high-level beast tamer with a monster beast by his side. Not to mention the other Beast Tamer Valley disciples. In such a situation, how could there be someone in the True Spill Continent's mortal world that could kill them? Moreover, it was said that this person had even shattered the Valley Master's divine sense. It had to be known that the Valley Master was a Saint Master Realm powerhouse. In order to shatter his divine sense, one had to be at least a Saint Emperor level powerhouse. No one would place their target in the mortal world. They thought that Han Dong and the others had died after returning to the hidden world. But no matter how much they investigated, they couldn't find anything. Hearing Beast Tamer King Guguju's angry voice, they all quickly apologized. Valley Master, please forgive us. Humph. Beast Tamer King Guguju's voice was icy cold. I just learned that Han Dong and the others went out because they wanted to capture a thunder beast for Jingyu as a birthday gift. Jingyu was his daughter's name. She was the little princess of Beast Tamer Valley, the apple of his eye. In a few days, it would be her birthday banquet. Not only that, but it would also be her 16th coming-of-age ceremony. Han Dong had gone to capture a thunder beast for her. Go and investigate according to these conditions. Do not miss a single clue. I want the person who killed Han Dong to die. Beast Tamer King Guguju's voice was filled with killing intent. Someone had dared to kill a disciple of Beast Tamer Valley, and his own disciple at that. This enmity had to be avenged. Once he found the culprit, he would make sure that person died without a burial ground, his entire family exterminated. Yes. Everyone hurriedly responded. They heaved a sigh of relief. With the lightning beast as a condition, it was much easier to investigate. Even if he did not know the exact location, he would be able to find out where Han Dong and the others had died as long as he checked the places they had been to. At that time, he might be able to find out who killed Han Dong and the others. With that thought in mind, everyone hurriedly went to make arrangements. While the Beast Tamer King Guguju was raging, in the main city of the Beast Tamer King Valley, Tianfeng City, Shua, a group of people appeared not far away. This is Tianfeng City, the main city of the Beast Taming King Valley, where the sect is located. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian stood side by side. She looked at the towering city in front of her. Its scale was even greater than the holy capital of the Empire of Qin, and the holy capital of the Great Chu. This huge city was like a gigantic beast crawling in front of them. Among them, an extremely powerful aura soared into the sky. Clearly, there were many powerhouses inside. Moreover, he was very strong. Chapter 1833. This city had 8 gates. Luo Qingtong and the others entered from the main gate. After entering the city, they had to walk. Otherwise, the forbidden space barrier in the sky would teach them a lesson. Luo Qingtong and the others didn't want to attract attention this time, so they didn't take the spirit ship. After all, the Blackfield spirit ship was too iconic. Luo Qingtong might come here to cause trouble, so she naturally didn't want to expose her identity to avoid being traced. Yi Qianxian didn't care, but if Luo Qingtong wanted to do this, he didn't object. What's more, his sky-high flying ship was indeed a bit special. The people of True Spill Continent couldn't see anything, but those people from the Star Alliance's branch hall. Yi Qianxian narrowed his eyes slightly. He didn't want to be seen through for the time being, at least not now. Yi Qianxian glanced at the woman beside him. Luo Qingtong was pretending to look around with interest. However, the bloody light in her eyes flickered slightly, and the 3D diagram of the forbidden space array above her head appeared in her pupils. In an instant, she completely saw through this array. The weaknesses and flaws were all revealed in front of her. Luo Qingtong's pupil technique slightly shrank. She had already remembered the weaknesses and flaws, so she didn't need to look anymore. For Luo Qingtong, as long as she saw through the internal structure of an array, then no matter how others changed it, improved it, or advanced it, it was useless to her. She could still see through it at a glance, and she didn't need to use her pupil technique. After Luo Qingtong easily remembered the forbidden space array, she began to look at the various defenses of the surrounding city, the distribution of troops on the city walls, the array barriers, and the main energy absorption points. The blood-red light in her eyes flickered continuously. Everywhere she went, she would see through everything, no matter how big or small. But on the surface, she looked like an ordinary 16-year-old girl, curiously looking around. Evil doctor? Beiqing and Fengyu didn't know about Luo Qingtong's blood pupils, so they were a little surprised when they saw it. They were surprised not because Luo Qingtong had embarrassed them, but because the evil doctor was usually so domineering and evil. How could she have such a naive and romantic side? The contrast was too great, and they couldn't bear it. They felt that the evil doctor's actions were too strange. I beg you to change back. The two of them felt their hair stand on end. At this moment, Yi Qianxian glanced at them and asked, "Do you have any objections?" No. The two of them were instantly terrified. What a coward! Master's wife protecting demon mode had been activated. In the past, he would restrain himself a little, saying things like he wanted to teach the evil doctor a lesson, and let him know that he could not be arrogant just because he was pampered. Master, I'll kneel to you. You're clearly saying that the evil doctor doesn't rely on favor to become arrogant. And you want her to rely on favor to become arrogant as well. We haven't said anything yet. You're insulting us. My heart is tired and I don't love. The two of them clutched their chests as they thought about it. Yi Qianxian tightened his grip on Luo Qingtong's hand. He liked Luo Qingtong no matter what she looked like. Moreover, he knew a little about Luo Qingtong's pupil technique. Looking at her, he guessed that she was looking at the defenses of the city. But, was this girl's pupil technique so powerful? She could see through everything in the world. Basically, no one in the world could do what Luo Qingtong did. Chapter 1834. However, Luo Qingtong's pupil technique didn't seem to have this problem at all. As her strength grew, her pupil technique also seemed to be getting more and more powerful. The pearl in his palm was slowly beginning to shine brightly. Haha, Yunxi, come over and take a look, there's a country bumpkin here. What a joke, he looks like a fool. Just as Yi Qianxian was faintly protecting Luo Qingtong from the crowd to prevent anyone from bumping into her, an ear-piercing voice rang out. It was filled with mockery and ridicule. Yi Qianxian's expression darkened slightly, and he immediately turned to look in the direction of the voice. His gaze was sharp, as if it contained countless saber lights and bloody swords. As far as his eyes could see, there seemed to be sharp swords and saber shadows everywhere, piercing towards the person who was mocking Luo Qingtong. It was a young girl dressed in green. At this moment, she was making fun of Luo Qingtong while raising her hand and pointing in her direction. Being pierced by Yi Qianxian's gaze, her face turned pale, and an indescribable sense of fear suddenly appeared in her heart. She couldn't help but take a step back, almost falling to the ground. Fortunately, the girl dressed in white beside her supported her. "Hey, why are you glaring at me?" She almost made a fool of herself in public. After shaking off the hand of the girl dressed in white, the girl dressed in green rushed towards Yi Qianxian and the others. "Do you think I've hit your sore spot?" The girl dressed in green said as she looked disdainfully at Luo Qingtong beside Yi Qianxian. "You're obviously a fool, but you don't let people talk about you. Do you think you'll become smarter if you don't talk?" She had a sharp expression on her face. At this time, Luo Qingtong had just finished analyzing half of the city's defenses. The level of the array in the main city of beast-taming King's Valley was a little high, so it was more difficult for her to analyze it. She wanted to take a break before continuing. However, when she lowered her head, she found that she was being scolded. "Fool." Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at the girl dressed in green. Then she turned to look at the man beside her and asked silently, "Did you provoke her? How could he still attract peach blossoms like this?" In view of the tragic situation when she traveled with Yu Huang last time, Luo Qingtong directly changed Yi Qianxian's mask to an extremely ugly one that people wouldn't even want to look at. How could he attract troublesome peach blossoms like this? Luo Qingtong felt that it was necessary for her to make Yi Qianren ugly in the future, although she couldn't bear to do this to the man's handsome face that could make people commit crimes. Peach blossoms, especially her own man's. Luo Qingtong still had that innocent and romantic smile on her face, but the coldness in her eyes made Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who were standing behind Yi Qianren, shiver. The evil doctor seemed to be unhappy. Master. They glanced at Yi Qianxian in front of them. They didn't know if they should sympathize with their master. This black pot was wronged. God knows that their master's eyes were full of the evil doctor. He even scolded them for the evil doctor. How could he have time to attract peach blossoms? The two of them looked sympathetic. Yi Qianxian's face also darkened. The veins on his forehead popped. It wasn't because of Luo Qingtong's silent question. It was because the girl dressed in green made him be misunderstood by Luo Qingtong. Get lost. His voice was cold. The temperature around him dropped. Chapter 1835. The green-clothed girl wanted to continue mocking them, but Yi Qianxian's cold gaze and the aura around him pierced her. In an instant, her face turned pale, and she took a step back. Humph. What's so great about you? She looked at Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian with some fear and indignation. We want to become beast tamers. If you have the ability, then fight us here. Let's see how the Beast Tamer Valley will deal with you. Beast Tamer Valley? Beast Tamers? A strange light flashed through Luo Qingtong's eyes as she glanced at the girl. At this moment, the other white-clothed girl hurriedly said, Yunyan, stop fooling around. It was wrong of you to make fun of others. I'm sorry. She nodded at Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian and apologized. My sister was rash this time. Please don't blame her. As she spoke, she timidly glanced at Yi Qianxian. She didn't know why, but even though the man's mask was extremely ugly and disgusting, and he looked very fierce, she couldn't help but look at him. He had a charm that made people unable to take their eyes off him. Especially that figure. There was an indescribable aura within it. Seeing the white-clothed girl's gaze, Luo Qingtong looked at the man beside her with a smile that wasn't a smile. And he still said that he didn't attract any girls. This was clearly expressed in her eyes. In an instant, Yi Qianxian's face, which was originally 50 to 60% black, turned 70 to 80% black. I'll say it again. Scram. This time, Yi Qianxian used his own aura to suppress them. His body clearly didn't emit any aura fluctuations. However, it was precisely this noble and honorable aura that came from within that person's bones that caused others to have no choice but to step back with pale faces. There was simply no way for them to disobey or resist at all. The white-clothed girl pulled her younger sister back with a panicked look on her face. In an instant, Yi Qianxian pulled Luo Qingtong's hand past them. Let's go. His voice was cold, and he didn't even look at them. Bei Qing, Feng Yu, and the others quickly followed. Luo Qingtong still had a faint innocent and romantic smile on her face. This was the fake smile she put on when she was secretly using her eye technique to analyze something. She still had to continue analyzing the defenses of this city later, so she couldn't be bothered to remove it. She looked at the man striding forward in front of her with a faint smile in her eyes. Suddenly, she stepped forward 2 steps to catch up with him and whispered in his ear. Why are you walking so fast? Are you feeling guilty after I hit the nail on the head? I'm not even angry yet. Why are you a womanizer angry? Luo Qingtong looked at his sullen and dark face with amusement. Shut up. Yi Qianxian looked at her with a dark expression. This woman was simply infuriating. I'm not blind yet. What bees and butterflies did he attract? If it wasn't for the fact that this was the main city of the beast-taming King Valley, he was afraid that he would ruin her plans. That green-clothed girl just now couldn't get within 10 meters of him. Oh, so you're saying that I'm prettier than them? Luo Qingtong's eyes turned, and she giggled as she laid on top of him and transmitted her voice. In the eyes of others, she was delicate and pretty, leaning on him weakly. Her innocent and romantic smile didn't change at all. Yi Qianxian ignored her with a cold face. Hey, is that right? Luo Qingtong's hand secretly pinched his palm. Chapter 1836. Don't move. Yi Qianxian scolded her in a low voice and pinched her hands that were hiding under his sleeves. Luo Qingtong's hands were small and delicate. When he opened his fingers, they were wrapped in a circle. Luo Qingtong struggled but failed to break free. In an instant, she gritted her teeth. This man was using his strength to suppress her again. Humph, I knew you couldn't be trusted. Luo Qingtong rolled her eyes and snorted. Since you didn't mean it that way, you must be blind to fall in love with them. You're really attracting bees and butterflies. You still don't want to admit it. The veins on Yi Qianxian's forehead twitched. Bei Qing, Feng Yu, and the others who were behind him heard the conversation between the two and were dumbfounded. You're good, evil doctor. How could you explain it this way? Oh my God, you're right no matter how you turn it over. I was wrong. Feng Yu secretly transmitted a message to Bei Qing with a pained expression. I originally thought Master was a henpecked husband because he spoiled the evil doctor too much. Now I know that if you fall in love with someone like the evil doctor, you have to be a henpecked husband. His wise and powerful master was completely under the control of the evil doctor. He couldn't fight at all. The evil doctor was really too powerful. How could he not be a henpecked husband when he met such a woman? Humph. It's better to believe that there are ghosts in this world than to believe in a man's lousy mouth. Oh. Before Luo Qingtong could finish her words, Yi Qianxian took off the mask on his face and kissed her instantly. The mask, which was as ugly as a Kunlun slave, blocked their faces and blocked the view of others. Behind them were Bei Qing, Feng Yu and the others. Yi Qianxian kissed the woman in front of him fiercely, and then deepened his kiss. When the kiss was over, he said in a hoarse voice, "Shut up." Yi Qianxian felt that this was the word he had said the most ever since he met Luo Qingtong. But the little woman in his arms was not afraid at all. She was truly his nemesis. Just as he was thinking, he heard Luo Qingtong mutter, "No. On what basis? Why didn't you tell me to shut up when you were kissing me? I didn't say anything wrong. Don't think that you can seduce me with your handsome face." The veins on Yi Qianxian's forehead throbbed as he raised his hand to cover her mouth. Luo Qingtong was still pretending to be a naive and romantic young woman. Seeing this, she didn't struggle. She just blinked and looked at him. Her appearance was as pure and beautiful as it could get. However, this was a witch wearing the skin of an angel. "You're beautiful." Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth and looked at her. He said word by word, "You are more beautiful than all of them. Even if I go blind in the future, I can only see you. That's more like it." Luo Qingtong giggled. The smile in her eyes was like a demon, but the expression on her face was still pure and innocent. The two completely different temperaments mixed together, making Yi Qianxian's eyes darken. This temptress. Luo Qingtong hugged his arm at this time. "Let's go," she said with a smile. "Let's walk around and see if we can inquire about anything." To investigate Luo Jinghong's matter, they naturally had to come to the main city of beast-taming King Valley. In fact, Luo Qingtong and the others had tried to inquire about it in other cities along the way. However, after so many years coupled with the arrogance and despotism of beast-taming King Valley, they had erased and kept the things they had done a secret. They didn't allow others to say anything bad about them. Therefore, Luo Qingtong and the others didn't inquire about what happened in the past. Chapter 1837. Hearing this, Yi Qianxian's eyes turned cold. He said to Bei Qing, Wind Feather, and the others, "Spread out and investigate. Report back to me if you have any news." He naturally went with Luo Qingtong, lest this woman suffered any losses here. After all, this was the main city of beast-taming King Valley, the location of a first-class sect in the hidden world. Yes. Bei Qing, Wind Feather, and the others responded, and then their figures spread out. "Let's go." Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian also walked forward. Sky Wind City was worthy of being the main city of beast-taming King Valley. It was very prosperous and lively. This main city accommodated all the powerhouses under the command of beast-taming King Valley. The sound of people selling things in the city was endless. There were all kinds of things being sold, many of which Luo Qingtong had never seen before in the true Spill continent. However, Luo Qingtong wasn't very interested in these. She didn't lack anything at the moment. The only thing she wanted was to improve her strength. However, this didn't prevent Luo Qingtong from talking to these peddlers. These peddlers had been mixed in with all kinds of people for a long time, so they knew many more things than the average person. Moreover, they were easy to get in touch with. Luo Qingtong was familiar with these things. She chatted with these peddlers skillfully, and soon became one with them. She talked about all kinds of gossip, but there was no news about beast taming King Valley chasing someone. It wasn't just about the person that Luo Qingtong was looking for, but there was no news about this at all. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. If it wasn't for the fact that these peddlers didn't dare to speak up, then it was because the beast taming King's Valley's methods were too formidable. They had completely wiped away all traces of the incident and maintained their image to the outside world. Tisk. Luo Qingtong licked her lips. She hated this kind of hypocritical and dignified people and things the most. I really want to destroy it. I want to expose its dark and filthy side. Just as Luo Qingtong was thinking about this, she suddenly heard a peddler say, "By the way, have you heard about the recent events? I heard that the culprit who killed the core disciple of beast taming King's Valley is about to be found. I heard that the core disciple was killed when he went to look for the thunder beast for Miss Jingyu's birthday. Right now, the beast taming King's Valley is using the lightning beast as a lead to search everywhere. I think it won't be long before we find it," he said. "That's right," another peddler answered casually. Beast taming King Valley is a first-rate sect. In the entire hidden world, there are very few things that they can't investigate, right? Unless one of those clans makes a move. He raised his hand and pointed upwards as he spoke in a low voice. "That's right. But that's impossible," another peddler said. "If those families were to make a move, they wouldn't have to be so secretive. It's just a core disciple. So what if he's the Valley Master's disciple?" Just as this person spoke up to hear, another person lowered his voice and said, "Then you don't know. It's said that the dead disciple's identity is extraordinary. Not only is he related to the Valley Master, he's also related to the Grand Elder." "Oh? So it's like that? Then it's no wonder." The other peddlers all came to a sudden realization. Soon after, they began to excitedly guess who it was that killed that core disciple. Luo Qingtong listened to them talk. These people were already very familiar with her and didn't avoid her. Chapter 1838. Beast Taming King Valley's core disciple, Thunder Beast. All of this pointed to a single point. "Oh." She suddenly chuckled softly. She didn't expect that the core disciple surnamed Han she had killed in the western wilderness would have such a great background. But so what? Since she had killed him, she wasn't afraid. Luo Qingtong had never been afraid of anyone in her life. But if the other party chased after Thunder Beast, would they cause any trouble? If they noticed True Spill Continent, then it would be troublesome. That Thunder Beast was Suyu's contract beast. Luo Qingtong thought and suddenly felt lucky that she hadn't brought Suyu and the others with her this time. Otherwise, something would have happened before they even reached Skywind City. Luo Qingtong listened to them talk for a while about beast taming King Valley, holding a birthday banquet for the Valley Master's daughter, the little princess of beast taming King Valley. Luo Qingtong wasn't interested in these things. After a few more words and confirming that no one knew about the dark history of beast taming King Valley, she immediately left. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian then strolled around Skywind City. Luo Qingtong inquired about information while Yi Qianxian watched from the side. His face was completely covered by the mask that was as ugly as a Kunlun slave. But there was a kind of aura about him that could not be blocked. That tall and slender figure poked out. And when others casually glanced at him, they had an inexplicable feeling that they couldn't move their eyes away. However, Beast Taming King Valley was preparing to hold a birthday banquet, and there were many sect powerhouses coming to congratulate them. In Skywind City, there were many eye-catching people, but no one stared at Yi Qianxian. They just thought of him as a powerhouse who came here to celebrate the birthday banquet of Beast Taming King Valley's little princess. Other than secretly guessing the origin of his sect, There was nothing else. Luo Qingtong quietly inquired about things along the way, and when she saw something novel and interesting on the road, she called out to Yi Qianxian. The atmosphere between the two of them was unusually harmonious and warm. They looked like a young couple who had come out to play. Yi Qianren looked at the young girl beside him and felt a strange feeling that was very rare to him. His cold eyes, which seemed to contain countless saber lights and blood swords, softened slightly. Yi Qianren basically wouldn't have the feeling of walking among the commoners, mixing with them and becoming one with them. He and Luo Qingtong walked in Tianfeng City, listening to Luo Qingtong and those people from all walks of life chatting. Luo Qingtong's face was sweet, and she was playing the role of an innocent and romantic young woman. That kind of sweet and cute feeling made the people around her unguarded. After they got to know each other better, they would even casually tease Yi Qianxian. When Yi Qianxian heard these words, he felt a strange feeling in his heart. Before he met Luo Qingtong, there was absolutely no one who dared to talk to him like this. Even Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who were taught by him and grew up with him, respected and revered him more than anything. They didn't dare to casually joke with him. While he was thinking, the middle-aged bearded uncle who was talking to Luo Qingtong suddenly stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. Yi Qianxian controlled the aura that was about to surge out of his body and looked at the other party. Chapter 1839. Haha, that's how it should be. You're such a blockhead. You're such a pretty girl, you have to protect her well. Otherwise you'll cry if someone snatches her away. The bearded man winked at Yi Qianxian. Yi Qianren looked at him and suddenly curled her lips into a smile. That's right. He did have to protect her well. Yi Qianren looked at the young girl in her arms who was like a little bird, and the curve on her lips became even wider. Luo Qingtong was rarely so well-behaved and gentle. He liked the other party's teasing very much. As Yi Qianxian spoke, he lifted Luo Qingtong in a princess carry. The latter was burying her head in his arms and trying to stifle her laughter. Before she could react, he had already trapped her in his arms and strode outside. Hey, put me down first. Luo Qingtong struggled in his arms. She still wanted to find out more information. This man looked like he didn't want anyone to get close to him. How was she going to talk to him when he was hugging her like this? I'm a blockhead, I don't understand what you're talking about. Yi Qianxian glanced at her but didn't stop walking. Don't think that he didn't hear what she said to the bearded man. Otherwise, the other party wouldn't have suddenly run over to tease her, although he liked it quite a bit. Ahem. Luo Qingtong couldn't help but cough lightly. I was just joking. Moreover, she stole a glance at Yi Qianxian. Even if you're a blockhead, you're still the #1 divine tree in the world. Ordinary people can't compare to you. At this point, Luo Qingtong gave herself a thumbs up for her wits. It was perfect, wasn't it? Is that so? Yi Qianren looked at her with a smile that was not a smile. But I'm not interested in being the #1 divine tree in the world. I just want to be a parasol tree. Luo Qingtong's curiosity was inexplicably aroused. Why? She looked at Yi Qianxian. Because Yi Qianxian gazed deeply at her. The phoenix perches on the wutong tree. Since she was a dazzling phoenix, then he would become the parasol tree that she was resting on. This way, no matter how she flew, she could only return to his side and never leave him. Luo Qingtong didn't understand the meaning of his words at first. After she understood, she looked at Yi Qianxian's passionate gaze. Her heart skipped a beat. This man was really breaking the rules. When did he max out his sweet-nothing skill? This confession was simply a full-score critical hit. The killing power was too great. Luo Qingtong couldn't help but cover her burning cheeks. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and her lips curled up. When he looked at Yi Qianxian again, his eyes were full of evil and cunning. I also like phoenix perch wudong. Luo Qingtong enunciated each word clearly, especially when she said the last 4 words. The smile on her face became more cunning, wanton, and enchanting. Yi Qianxian looked at the smile on her face. He didn't know why, but he had an inexplicable feeling that something was wrong. He felt that this woman's words had a deeper meaning. But other than the meaning that he had explained, what other meaning did she have? Yi Qianxian looked at the girl in his arms with a frown. Luo Qingtong, after saying that sentence, turned her head in an extremely good mood. She wasn't in a hurry to let Yi Qianxian put her down. Anyway, she wasn't in a hurry to find out the information. If this man wanted to hug her, she would let him. She would first analyze the defense of the surrounding city. As for the meaning of the sentence just now. Chapter 1840. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian returned to the inn when it was dark. This was the inn that Bei Qing and Feng Yu had rented, and there was a unique signal outside. As soon as Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian stepped in, a waiter came up to them and led them to the backyard. Obviously, he had been ordered to do so. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian followed him to the backyard, which was a secluded area. It was an isolated area and did not have any connections with other people. Each courtyard was independent of each other, and was separated by a certain distance. Master the evil doctor. As soon as Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian stepped into the courtyard, Bei Qing and Feng Yu sensed them. A group of people flew out of the hall and knelt in front of them. Yes. Yi Qianxian looked indifferent. He and Luo Qingtong walked into the hall and sat on the main seat, looking at Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who stood up and followed them. How's the investigation going? Have you found anything? Luo Qingtong did not find any useful clues in Tianfeng City. Now it was up to Bei Qing and Feng Yu to see if they could find anything. No. The group of people lowered their heads. Bei Qing and Feng Yu looked very guilty. We've checked all the clues we can find. The people of the Beast Taming Valley did it very cleanly. It's said that as long as it's someone who goes against them, they'll definitely deal with them. But after that, they'll erase all traces. They said, everyone knows that the people of the Beast Taming Valley did it, but there's no evidence. Sure enough. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. She already had this feeling when she was trying to get information from them in Tianfeng City. Now Bei Qing and Feng Yu's words confirmed her conjecture. The people of the Beast Taming Valley have a very high status in the hidden world. Basically, even the people of the same first-class sex don't want to offend them. The Beast Taming King Valley erased the evidence like this. Everyone else turned a blind eye to it. Bei Qing and Feng Yu said. Otherwise, the people of the Beast Taming Valley would not have erased all traces so cleanly. This was also the reason why Bei Qing and Feng Yu didn't know where to start. They acted separately from Luo Qingtong, and went to investigate and get information from the people of the Beast Taming Valley. The information they obtained was fragmented and not very detailed, not to mention the information obtained from the outside world. Without the tacit consent of the other sex, how could the Beast Taming Valley be able to cover the sky with one hand? How could the powerful and influential people in Tianfeng City not know about something as big as hunting someone down? This was obviously not normal. And what Luo Qingtong wanted to find was something that happened more than 10 years ago, so the hope was even slimmer. Too much time had passed, and all the useful clues had been erased. The only people who might know these things were the higher-ups of the Beast Taming Valley, who knew these things from the beginning to the end, and gave the order. Luo Qingtong also thought of this point. Her eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that we can only enter the Beast Taming Valley to investigate. However, the Beast Taming King's Valley was a first-rate sect. How big was it? Who knew who was involved in the matter back then? It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Chapter 1841. But how could someone like that force information out of their mouths? If he were to use force, not to mention whether the other party would use this matter to threaten him, he would not be able to do anything. Yi Qianxian's body still had the hidden danger of the heavenly vein physique. It wasn't easy for him to use the heavenly fox's blood essence to extend his life for 3 years and increase the strength of his meridians, allowing him to use more strength. If he were to use force against the people of Beast Taming King Valley, what would he do if his strength exceeded his body's limit? One had to know that Beast Taming King Valley wasn't a sixth-rate sect like the Breeze Pavilion. First-rate sects were already the peak strength of the hidden world. Moreover, Beast Taming King Valley's strength was above the average first-rate sect. Pull one hair, and the whole body will be affected. If the lips die, the teeth will be cold. The other first-rate sects would definitely not let them make a move against the people of beast-taming King Valley. At that time, a group of first-rate sects would join forces, and it would be equivalent to becoming the enemy of the entire hidden world. Luo Qingtong would never let Yi Qianxian take such a risk for her. Then there was only one last path left, which was to change her name and join beast-taming King Valley. She would see if she could find any flaws and make a move against beast-taming King Guguju and the others. The original order, the handwritten letter, and so on. It was possible that there was information about the people who were being chased. Luo Qingtong could use this to find out if the person being chased was her father Luo Jinghong. And Yi Qianxian frowned but didn't say anything. According to his temperament, this matter didn't need to be so troublesome. He only needed to catch beast-taming King Guguju and the others and interrogate them. Luo Qingtong was worried about the first-rate sects joining forces, but in Yi Qianxian's eyes he didn't care at all. Not to mention the entire hidden world's people joining forces. Even if the Star Alliance's people came here, Yi Qianxian wouldn't be afraid. It was just that his identity couldn't be hidden anymore. Yi Qianxian's eyes turned cold as he thought of those who had been searching for his whereabouts and wanted to come here. He couldn't let those people come over yet. At least for now. He couldn't let those people appear in front of Luo Qingtong. All right, then let's sneak in. Seeing that he didn't have any objections, Luo Qingtong immediately nodded. She was just about to say something when suddenly, outside the courtyard walls, there was a sudden burst of noise. The courtyard where Luo Qingtong and the others were staying was the last one in the inn. Its location was somewhat remote, close to the street. At this moment, the sounds from the street outside could be heard faintly through the courtyard walls. Hey look, it's the beast-taming King Valley's newly recruited disciples. How impressive. Yeah. Below the courtyard wall, a group of people were looking at the team at the end of the street with envy. The new disciples of the beast-taming King's Valley. This was a great honor. The preparatory disciples who were selected to enter the beast-taming King's Valley could basically become beast-taming masters in the future. Even if they couldn't become beast-taming masters in the end, being in a sect like the beast-taming King's Valley was far more powerful than being in other sects outside. Their status and identity couldn't be compared to the experts of ordinary sections. Experts of the same level, if the other party came from the beast-taming King's Valley, you would have to lower your head. Chapter 1842. In other sects, martial artists are martial artists, and soul cultivators are soul cultivators. But the beast tamers in beast-taming King Valley can still control demonic beasts to attack. One must know that a demonic beast is equivalent to a cultivator's help. Even a good demonic beast is far better than that. These people who are chosen to become apprentice disciples of beast-taming King Valley are really too lucky. Ai, what a pity we don't have this life. Yes, to be chosen as a disciple, we have to go through a very strict selection test. Most importantly, we have to be tested by the aura of beast-taming King Valley to see if we can cultivate the art of beast taming. Only those who can cultivate can be chosen as an apprentice disciple. Yes, the group sighs and is about to leave. They tried their luck before, but unfortunately, they were not chosen. The group turns around. At this moment, a figure jumps out from the courtyard wall behind them. Luo Qingtong smiles sweetly. She pats the shoulder of a young man who just turned around, smiles at him, and asks, I wonder if you can tell me about beast-taming King Valley? I also want to become a disciple of beast-taming King Valley. Luo Qingtong is wearing a red dress, elegant and beautiful, and with a sweet smile. She looks like a harmless fairy under the moon. The young man was dumbfounded. He thought that it was a fairy under the moon who had revealed her true form. Until Luo Qingtong raises her hand and waves it in front of his face, he quickly comes back to his senses. His face turns red and he says in a panic, Okay. He was at a loss for a while. Luo Qingtong looked at him and laughed. Boys of this age are so interesting to tease. While she is laughing, on the other side, Beiqing and Fengyu are standing in the middle of the courtyard, wiping their cold sweat as they peek at their master's expression. Just now, Luo Qingtong heard the discussion outside and rushed out. The group of them followed out, but they did not go out. But evil doctor, if we want to ask questions, We can be simple and rough. For example, we can drag people, beat them up, and force them to tell us. You don't need to use a honey trap. They feel that they can't withstand the overflowing cold air around their master. While Beiqing and Fengyu are constantly wiping their sweat, Luo Qingtong asks the young man about beast-taming King Valley's disciple recruitment. It turns out that every year at this time, beast-taming King Valley will recruit disciples who are suitable to cultivate the art of beast from their own territory. Of course, even if they didn't have the talent to cultivate the beast-taming art, they could still be selected by the beast-taming King Valley. But their strength and status may not be as strong as beast tamers in beast-taming King Valley. Generally, warriors and sole personages with such talent would go to other sects to cultivate. Therefore, every time the beast-taming King Valley recruited a disciple, they would have the aptitude to be a beast-taming master. When Luo Qingtong and the others arrived, they had just missed the beast-taming King Valley's disciple recruitment. At this moment, the group of probationary disciples had finished their selection and were preparing to leave Skywind City for the beast-taming King's Valley's main sect. Luo Qingtong nods her head. She heard about beast-taming King Valley's disciple recruitment in advance. She didn't expect to miss it. Chapter 1843. If that's the case, then there's going to be some trouble. Luo Qingtong had been thinking about how to sneak into the beast-taming King Valley. Impersonating someone was definitely out of the question as it would be easy to be exposed. Luo Qingtong wasn't going to shoot and run away. She was going to stay and inquire about things. Originally, Luo Qingtong was thinking about whether she should let Yi Qianxian and the others capture someone from the beast-taming King Valley to ask. She didn't expect to hear these people talking outside the courtyard wall. When she turned around, if the beast-taming King Valley was recruiting new disciples, there would be no problem at all. The new disciples had a certain degree of freedom. At the same time, because they didn't know anything, it would be convenient for them to inquire about information. Moreover, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. When the new disciples arrived at the main sect, they would be selected by the higher-ups of the beast-taming King Valley, right? This was a chance to get close to the beast-taming King Guguju and the others. However, who would have thought that they would miss this opportunity? When Luo Qingtong's eyes were fixed, the young man who answered her also saw that her complexion was not right. He immediately said, "Actually, it doesn't matter." He comforted Luo Qingtong. At this time next year, the beast-taming King Valley will be recruiting new disciples. You can come again at that time, right? By the way, miss, what's your name and where do you live? As he spoke, he gathered his courage and raised his hand to put it on Luo Qingtong's shoulder. In an instant, Beiqing and Fengyu in the courtyard felt a burst of murderous aura around them. Then with a swish, Yi Qianxian, who was originally standing in front of them with his hands behind his back, flashed and disappeared in front of them. Oh my God, angry. Master is angry. The group of people covered their eyes with their hands, not daring to look at the scene in front of them. Will Master and the evil doctor fight? It shouldn't be, right? The group of people were curious and expectant, but also a little worried. If their master were to really fight with the evil doctor, who would they help? If they helped Master, what if the evil doctor came to settle accounts? Master was a wife slave. If they helped the evil doctor, then what about Master? What a dilemma! While everyone's hearts were in a mess, Yi Qianxian's figure had already appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. He raised his hand and held her waist. Time to go back. His expression was indifferent. The ugly face of a Kunlun slave was taken off in an instant. In an instant, the face in front of her couldn't be described with words that couldn't describe the face in front of him. Yi Qianxian had blocked the boy's attempt to grab Luo Qingtong. He was about to get angry. However, when he raised his head and saw the face in front of him, he immediately fled. It turned out that the beauty was already taken. Moreover, he was such a handsome man with an extraordinary aura. The young man still had lingering fears from the look he had just exchanged with Yi Qianxian. That gaze was too cold, too austere. He covered his pale face and his violently beating heart and hurriedly left. After Yi Qianxian coldly glared at the boy, he turned his head and looked down at the girl in front of him. You were almost taken advantage of just now, do you know? He asked coldly in a cold voice. How could I take advantage of you like this? Luo Qingtong looked at him with a smile and raised her hand to put it on his shoulder. She had seen the boy's movements just now, so she naturally wouldn't let him touch her. Unexpectedly, this man couldn't help but come out and childishly take off the mask on his face. Luo Qingtong stifled a laugh in her heart. Chapter 1844. Dirty. His voice was cold as he grabbed Luo Qingtong's hand and wiped it clean from her palm to the back of her hand. This woman had just used this hand to touch that young man. Ptaha. Seeing his actions, Luo Qingtong could no longer hold back the laughter in her heart. She laughed out loud. Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who were in the courtyard, had peeked at Yi Qianxian grabbing Luo Qingtong's hand and thought that he was really going to hit her. They were debating whether they should risk their lives to block him, but they realized that they were thinking too much. Master was going to hit the evil doctor? That was impossible. The group of people looked at Yi Qianxian wiping Luo Qingtong's hands with black lines on their foreheads. Then the two of them turned around and came back together. Suddenly there was a gust of wind. They always felt that the jealous and murderous master just now was just an illusion. On the other hand, Luo Qingtong was thinking of a way to sneak into the group of new disciples. She definitely couldn't wait for a year. Moreover, she didn't want to wait. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly and the light in her eyes flickered slightly. All kinds of thoughts were running through her mind. All of a sudden, her gaze landed on Yi Qianming. The latter had just finished wiping her hands, and the coldness and darkness on his face had not completely disappeared. He just pulled her straight into the hall. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's delicate voice rang out. Qianren pa. Bei Qing, who was following behind the two of them, slipped and almost fell down the stairs. Fortunately, Feng Yu, who was next to him, supported him. However, Feng Yu also had a look of horror on his face, and was only slightly steadier than him. Yi Qianxian suddenly stopped, and turned to look at Luo Qingtong. What was this woman trying to do? When Yi Qianxian heard Luo Qingtong's screams, he felt terrible. As long as this woman didn't play by the rules, it wasn't a good time. The last time she called him that, she wanted him to go to the southern mountain range. What was she trying to do now? After Luo Qingtong called out, she quickly snuggled into Yi Qianxian's arms. She wrapped her arms around his neck with a smile and said, Qianren, didn't you say that I'm the most beautiful, the best, and that you love me the most? Putting aside what Yi Qianxian was thinking, Bei Qing, Feng Yu, and the others ran away as soon as they heard Luo Qingtong's words. It was better for them not to stand in the way of their master's public display of affection. Moreover, there were some things that they couldn't listen to. There were some scenes that they could not see. Not to mention that their own master's eyes were already looking in their direction. When the group of people saw Yi Qianren's cold gaze, they ran away quickly and disappeared without a trace in a short while. Tell me, what are you trying to do? Yi Qianxian turned his head and looked at the girl in front of him. He couldn't help but rub his forehead. Ahem. Luo Qingtong looked at him and coughed softly. Then her beautiful eyes looked left and right and said, that the beast-taming King Valley has already recruited all the new disciples. Yi Qianxian softly grunted. He didn't know why, but he started to have a bad premonition. So if you want to sneak in, you have to show off your beast-taming talent. Chapter 1845. As for Snowball, because it was with Chu Lingfeng, it also disappeared with him. Luo Qingtong didn't have a single contracted beast by her side. Moreover, even if she did, her contract method was special. It was a heaven and earth contract, so she couldn't expose herself in front of the people of beast-taming King's Valley. After thinking about it, she could only let Yi Qianxian turn into silver. Then the two of them would pretend to be a beast tamer and a contracted beast and enter beast-taming King's Valley. That would be the best. Hearing this, Yi Qianxian's face turned black. In the end, Yi Qianxian agreed to Luo Qingtong's request. This was indeed the best and most convenient method. It was just that his sacrifice was greater. Yi Qianxian's face was cold as he nestled in Luo Qingtong's arms. The little silver fox's body was furry, and its fur was smooth and shiny. It looked indescribably cute. Let's go intercept them. Luo Qingtong had already called Bei Qing and Wind Feather over. After telling them her plan, the group of people rushed out of Wind City. Beast Taming King's Valley's new disciple recruitment had already been completed. At this time, deliberately showing off one's talent was very unwise. It was easy to be suspected of having impure motives. Even if Luo Qingtong wanted to enter Beast Taming King's Valley, she wouldn't use this method. She would guarantee that nothing would go wrong, and the people of Beast Taming King's Valley wouldn't suspect anything. Let's go. The group rushed out of Wind City, and in a canyon outside Tianfeng City, a group of people was walking in it. This was the group of newly recruited disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley. There were dozens of carriages in this group, and a group of newly recruited apprentice disciples with the talent of beast taming sat in them. Outside the carriages was a group of Beast Taming King's Valley disciples and elders who were ordered to go down the mountain to escort them. The group of people's expressions were very relaxed. Beast Taming King's Valley was famous, and this was the main city of Wind City. There was no one who would dare to do anything to them. Every time the disciples and elders went down the mountain, it was similar to relaxing. However, something unexpected seemed to have happened this time. Bang! The group had just walked out of the canyon when they heard the sounds of fighting coming from outside. In an instant, everyone from the Beast Taming King's Valley turned solemn. Let's go take a look, one of the leading elders said as he led his group towards the source of the sound. The others stayed behind to guard the convoy. In front of a wide open space, a young girl in red was being chased. When the people from Beast Taming King's Valley arrived, she was already beaten to the ground, her face filled with despair. Right at this moment, whoosh! Suddenly, the silver fox leapt out of her arms and ran towards the men in black that were chasing her. When the people from Beast Taming King's Valley saw that they were being chased, they were prepared to leave. He didn't expect to see such a scene. The eyes of the leading elder suddenly lit up. Is this little silver fox a demon beast? This young girl can control it to fight? He looked at the young girl who was surrounded by a group of black-clothed men, and his eyes flashed. It was common knowledge that demon beasts wouldn't listen to the orders of humans. If this little silver fox was just an ordinary pet, it wouldn't be a big deal, but it was a demon beast. Then wouldn't its master be a beast-taming master? Chapter 1846. If that was the case, then the opponent must have a strong beast-taming talent. With that thought in mind, the captain waved his hand fiercely. Go save her. When the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley saw the silver fox move, they knew that the elder would make such an arrangement. Immediately, they rushed towards the black-clothed men. It's the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley. The black-clothed men were prepared to deal with the silver fox, but they didn't expect the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley to suddenly rush towards them. Their faces turned cold, and they didn't dare to stay any longer. They quickly turned around and ran. Bao. The young girl who was luckily saved quickly hugged the silver fox. Then, she looked at the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley with a face full of fear. This young girl was naturally Luo Qingtong. The group of black-clothed men just now were Bei Qing and the others in disguise. The group of people had come to the front of the valley in advance to wait for the new disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley. They wanted to show them that Luo Qingtong could tame beasts. And this time the mission was completed perfectly. Hello, thank you. Luo Qingtong looked timidly at the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley, and thanked them. She was currently playing the role of a naive and romantic young girl. It was convenient for her to move around in Beast Taming King's Valley. Naturally, she had to act as pure and innocent as possible. Bei Qing and the others, who had successfully retreated from the shadows, saw this scene and their lips twitched. After this incident, they finally understood how good the evil doctor's acting skills were. It was as if he could pull off any act with ease, without the slightest flaw. How in the world did she practice? But how could they know that Luo Qingtong had been hunted down countless times in her past life? She didn't know how to disguise herself and had died countless times. Sometimes, when she was close to a dead end, she relied on her strong acting skills and disguise to forcefully deceive the enemy. She had brushed shoulders with the enemy several times and escaped with her life. This silver fox is yours? The elder looked at Luo Qingtong and asked. Yes. Luo Qingtong felt uneasy under his gaze. She hugged the silver fox tighter, and her body trembled. She looked scared. Yi Qianxian was held in her arms. Even though he knew that this woman was pretending, he couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Because of this heartache, it turned its head and licked the girl's cheek. This time, the leading elder no longer had any doubts. Who are you? What's his name? Why are you being hunted down? He asked with a gentle expression. Luo Qingtong was about to speak. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind. It's you, idiot? That voice was filled with surprise, anger, and disdain. Luo Qingtong looked up and saw a young girl poking her head out of one of the carriages. When she saw that it was Luo Qingtong, she immediately shouted. This young girl was none other than the young girl in green that Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian had met when they were strolling around Tianfeng City. Sitting beside her was the white-clothed girl, Yin Yan. She tugged at the young girl in green's clothes. After the latter shouted, she realized that she was in the wrong place. She immediately shut her mouth and looked at Luo Qingtong with even more anger. Chapter 1847. When Luo Qingtong saw them, she raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect to meet these two here. But since they spoke, it saved her a lot of trouble. At least with them here, the people of the beast-taming valley wouldn't be too suspicious of her background. As Luo Qingtong thought about it, she quickly changed the story she had made up in her mind. My name is Night Eye. She looked at the girl in green timidly and said, I'm not an idiot. Ooft, and you say you're not an idiot. The young girl in green had a sharp expression and sneered at Luo Qingtong in disdain. If she wasn't an idiot, what was she? But she didn't expect her to be the one being chased. The man beside her was also not here. Did he die in the chase? Thinking about it, Yin Yan's heart was gloating. Luo Qingtong looked at her and thought, did this silly girl know that everything she said was to help her dispel the suspicions of the people of the beast-taming valley? The more she said, the less suspicious the people of the beast-taming valley would be of her. Originally, her background was unknown. But now that she had cleared it up, it was no longer a problem. She helped her so much that Luo Qingtong felt that she couldn't repay her. Sure enough, after hearing Yin Yan's words, the doubts in the eyes of the leading elder towards Luo Qingtong disappeared. He looked at Yin Yan and Yin Shi and asked, Do you know her? No, we don't. Before Yin Yan and Yin Shi could speak, Luo Qingtong suddenly opened her mouth. She looked at Yin Yan and Yin Shi angrily, then pursed her lips and bowed to the leading elder. She said, Thank you for helping me. Goodbye. She turned around and left. She didn't give Yin Yan and Yin Shi a chance to speak. Seeing this, Yin Yan and Yin Shi were stunned. The two of them didn't know Luo Qingtong, but for some reason, after she spoke and left, it gave them the feeling that they knew each other. They wanted to say something, but they didn't know what to say. Say that they didn't know Luo Qingtong? But Luo Qingtong didn't say that she knew them. While the two of them were conflicted, the leading elder's suspicions towards Luo Qingtong were more or less dispelled, although he didn't know everything about her background. But since she was acquainted with a new disciple, he could slowly investigate in the future. She could control beasts, and they couldn't let her go. Thinking of this, he hurriedly said, Hey, wait, Miss Tong, you were just hunted down. If you leave now, you might encounter danger again. Why don't you return to the beast-taming valley first? By the way, how did you make this little silver fox listen to you? The leading elder calmly. What he said earlier could easily make people lose their vigilance, and unknowingly, they would say the answer he wanted. Sure enough, after hearing his words, Luo Qingtong's face showed a trace of confusion. She first nodded, then shook her head. I don't know. Silver Fox and I grew up together, and it has always listened to me. Luo Qingtong displayed her naive and romantic personality to the extreme. Her words were ignorant and innocent. When it came to beast taming, the more she said, the more mistakes she would make. She might as well not say anything. Let these people fill in the blanks themselves. Oh. Chapter 1848. If that was the case, then the other party was most likely a natural beast tamer. That would be even more powerful than a natural beast tamer. Thinking about it, a smile appeared on his face. Then follow me back to the Beast Tamer King Valley. I will inform your family to pick you up. I have no family. Hearing his words, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. She took the opportunity to explain her experience and cut off the other party's questioning. They're all dead. Saying this, she lowered her head, looking very sad. Everyone, including Qianqian, they're all dead. Qianqian, what kind of title was that? Yi Qianxian lay in her arms, not knowing what to say. This woman was quite good at cursing him to death. Thinking about it, he couldn't help but bite the flesh on the back of her hand and grind his teeth. Luo Qingtong lowered her head and pinched his little paw, telling him to stop messing around. So ticklish. She was building up her emotions and acting. Could this man not be a hindrance? Was it fun to tear down the stage? What if she accidentally laughed out loud? The two of them were playing tricks in private, but the leading elder was completely unaware. Hearing that Luo Qingtong's family was dead, he immediately nodded and said to her, "Miss, my condolences. If you're willing, you can stay in the Beast Tamer King Valley in the future and become a disciple of the Beast Tamer King Valley." This leading elder originally wanted to recruit Luo Qingtong into the Beast Tamer King Valley. Now that he heard that her family was dead, he had no more worries. As for the enemy she might offend, in the hidden world, who would dare to provoke the Beast Tamer King Valley? Even the Star Soul Sub-Palace had to give them some face, not to mention others. Okay. Thank you, elder. But, as Luo Qingtong spoke, she looked at Yin Yan and Yin Shi timidly. Then she quickly lowered her head. I'm afraid that some people won't like me going in. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed coldly. Yin Yan and Yin Yan were a potential threat. She had to get rid of them so that they could no longer threaten her. Their last resort was to make sure that no one from Beast Taming King's Valley would believe them. Hearing this, the elder glanced at Yin Yan. The latter also felt suffocated by Luo Qingtong's gaze. Why is this idiot looking at me like that? If it weren't for the fact that this wasn't the right place, Yin Yan would have loudly questioned Luo Qingtong. At this moment, she was glaring fiercely at Luo Qingtong. The so-called godly assist was nothing more than this, wasn't it? The leading elder saw the look in her eyes and immediately snorted coldly. It's fine. He's just a new disciple. He can't do anything to you. You don't have to worry about it. Hearing his words, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. Even if the two sisters went to the upper echelons of the Beast Taming King Valley, no one would listen to them. Crisis averted. After quietly getting rid of Yin Yan and Yin Yan, Luo Qingtong sat on the carriage that the Beast Taming King's Valley's people were escorting the new disciples to the Beast Taming King's Valley. Just like this, Luo Qingtong easily sneaked into the Beast Taming King's Valley. Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who were hiding in the shadows, were stunned. Oh my god, the evil doctor is simply amazing. He was completely playing with people's hearts in the palm of his hand. First, he used Yin Yan and Yin Yan to dispel the leading elder's suspicions. Then he used the leading elder to get rid of Yin Yan and Yin Yan's hidden dangers. No one would believe anything they said. Chapter 1849. Actually, I think, with the evil doctor's scheming skills, Master doesn't need to worry about her being bullied over there. As long as we're here, we can fight whoever comes. The evil doctor can deal with everything else by herself. Bei Qing said, clenching his fists. He really wanted to go back there. At that time, he would ruthlessly teach a lesson to those who dared to curse his master behind his back. Back and forth. Let's see if they still dare to play tricks behind his back. Humph. If it weren't for Master's strength, those people wouldn't even be able to cause a ripple in the water. Thinking that such people dared to diss his master, he felt a burst of anger in his heart. The evil doctor's scheming skills were more than enough to deal with those people's arrows in the dark. It would be no problem for them to block the spears in the open. What do you know? Feng Yu rolled her eyes at him. The evil doctor still needs to grow. With Master's status, once the evil doctor's existence was exposed, there would be no peace. At that time, It would be impossible to guard against all kinds of open and hidden attacks. How could the evil doctor cultivate and improve her strength and peace? The evil doctor's talent was unparalleled and monstrous. She wasn't any weaker than Master. If such talent and strength were not allowed to grow properly, it would be the end of the evil doctor. How could Master do that? If it wasn't to give the evil doctor an undisturbed cultivation environment, why would Master bother to hide the evil doctor's identity and the location of True Spill Continent? He didn't want those people to disturb the evil doctor. This silly husky thought that Master was afraid that he couldn't protect the evil doctor and would let her be bullied. He didn't know what Master was thinking. A phoenix that laughs proudly in the 9 heavens or a canary in a cage, which do you want? Master wants the evil doctor to be on par with him. He wants the evil doctor to stand proudly by his side. She doesn't want to be a canary in a cage that he protects. Feng Yu patted Bei Qing's head as she spoke. In the future, don't say such things in front of Master. Otherwise, if you get beaten up, I won't save you. Bei Qing touched her head and was silent for a moment. Then she said gloomily, Feng Yu, are you looking down on my intelligence? No, you're overthinking it. Feng Yu patted him on the shoulder and said earnestly, how is that possible? Do you even have an IQ? Before he could finish his sentence, Bei Qing's fist came flying towards him. Don't run. F***CK. Luo Qingtong and the others arrived at the Beast Taming King's Valley in the afternoon of the second day. After passing through layers upon layers of formations, they entered the huge valley at the heart of the mountain range. Luo Qingtong sat upright in the carriage and looked outside at the layers of light that were opening like a heavenly curtain. Her eyes narrowed slightly. The Beast Taming King Valley was stronger than she had imagined. There were layers upon layers of formations. Even a holy venerate would not be able to easily enter and exit them. If she had decided to sneak in before, she was afraid that she would have been blocked outside the door and would not be able to enter. After all, with so many formations, it would take a long time to analyze them. She would only alarm the people of the Beast Taming King Valley if she tried to force her way in. It was best to enter as an apprentice. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed with a bloody light. Every time she passed by a layer of formations, she would imprint the model of that layer into her eyes. She would slowly analyze it later. She looked around curiously. Chapter 1850. What a country bumpkin, just like an idiot. I don't know why the elder in charge recruited her. Isn't it just because she has an obedient beast? Her voice was extremely loud, and she even deliberately glanced at Luo Qingtong. She was obviously saying it for Luo Qingtong to hear. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to ignore her. She was just a clown. If she didn't come to Beast Taming King Valley to investigate, she wouldn't have interacted with her at all. Luo Qingtong didn't want to interact with people like her. After all, if a dog barked at a person, there was no need for a person to bark back. But when she heard the word beast, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed coldly and her face turned cold. Through the curtains of her own carriage, she glanced at Yun Yan's carriage and fixed her gaze on Yun Yan. What are you looking at? Yun Yan had been paying attention to Luo Qingtong's movements. She purposely said it for Luo Qingtong to hear. She pursed her lips and looked at Luo Qingtong. She raised her head and said coldly, let me tell you, don't think that you're amazing just because you deliberately played tricks to enter Beast Taming King Valley. Isn't it just an obedient beast? Whether or not you can master the art of beast taming is still unknown. She coldly snorted and looked at Luo Qingtong. On the way to Beast Taming King Valley, Yun Yan felt that something was wrong. The timing of Luo Qingtong's appearance was too coincidental. They had just left the city and she was chasing after them. Who would believe that she was on their way? Yun Yan didn't think that Luo Qingtong had snuck into Beast Taming King Valley. She only thought that after they met on the street that day, she heard that they wanted to master the art of beast taming and wanted to become a beast tamer herself. But the new disciple recruitment had already ended, so she purposely blocked their path and put on a show. She wanted to take the opportunity to enter Beast Taming King Valley and become a beast tamer. That must be it. He was really too shameless. Thinking of this, Yun Yan looked at Luo Qingtong with disdain. What she didn't know was that with her powerful imagination, she had guessed part of the truth. The chase was a play directed by Luo Qingtong, all for the sake of entering the beast-taming King Valley. However, it wasn't for the sake of becoming a beast tamer. It was for something else. Luo Qingtong stared at Yin Yan for a moment before turning her head away. The second time, she narrowed her eyes. The light in her eyes flickered coldly. The other party had called Yi Qianxian a beast twice. If she didn't make a move, there would always be mad dogs barking and biting people. Luo Qingtong's eyes were extremely cold. Shua. The caravan continued to move forward. The array formations in front of them became more and more advanced and powerful. When the last layer of the defensive array was activated, the elder in charge of the team told them to get out of the car. All right, this is the final barrier of the beast-taming King Valley. All of you, follow me closely. Don't go the wrong way. Otherwise, don't blame me for not warning you if you get caught in the array. The elder in charge of the team had a very serious expression. This array was the final barrier of the beast-taming King Valley. Naturally, it was different from the arrays outside. It was very particular about the order of entry. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. She looked at the array in front of her. Chapter 1851. More importantly, these arrays revolved around this one to form a whole. To be more precise, the array outside the beast-taming valley was a chain of arrays. And the most important main array was this final barrier array. Such an array was naturally powerful when stacked together. But at the same time, if the main array was damaged, the other arrays would also be weakened or even lose their effectiveness. As Luo Qingtong analyzed the situation, she followed the leading elder inside. Can position, heaven position, earth branch. The elder leading the team was very careful with every step he took. Luo Qingtong's pupil sorcery flashed as she analyzed the array according to the elder's steps. To her, it was as if someone had provided her with a formula to solve a problem. She just had to apply it. However, with Luo Qingtong's current strength, even if she succeeded in deciphering the array, she would not be able to fully control it. Everyone, follow closely. Every time the captain took a step forward, he warned everyone again. All the apprentices hid their expressions and followed behind him seriously. No one wanted to go the wrong way and test the power of this array. Humph. That woman is still looking around. If she goes the wrong way, let's see how she dies. By now, Yin Yan had already put away the expression on her face. She followed closely behind the leading elder. She looked up and saw Luo Qingtong analyzing the array and sneered. That's enough. Yin Shi, who was beside her, pinched her and pulled her back to reality. Don't always pick on others. She's already very pitiful that she's being hunted down. Her family is already dead. Why are you always picking on others? Wasn't it just a scare on the street? You were the one who said that she was an idiot first. How many times have I said that to you? Don't be so careless. It's not good for you to talk about others like that. Before Yin Shi could finish speaking, Yun Yan interrupted her impatiently. That's enough. Do I need you to lecture me? Who do you think you are? If I'm happy, I'll call you sister. If I'm not happy, you're worse than my servant. Your mother is a haggard old woman. She should have been removed from the court a long time ago. Know your place. As she spoke, she snorted coldly and walked forward, completely ignoring Yin Shi. The latter stood there alone, looking somewhat pitiful. Luo Qingtong glanced at her. It seemed that it was going to be another good play where the legitimate daughter was in dire straits, and the concubine took over the nest. But this matter had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. She had no intention of meddling in other people's business. However, she had to teach Yin Yan a lesson. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold as she stared at Yin Yan's back. Without a sound, a ray of light shot out from her fingertips. In the blink of an eye, the positions of the surrounding formations quietly rotated under Luo Qingtong's control. Luo Qingtong had already grasped some of the functions of this large array from her analysis just now. She couldn't completely control the array, but she could still change a few positions in the array. Like now, swoosh. As Yun Yan followed the leading elder's footsteps, She suddenly stepped on empty air. Ah! The array around her suddenly activated. In an instant, Yunyan fell into an independent space within the array. Chapter 1852. 5 Elemental Lightning Fire. Countless bolts of lightning and fire blasted towards Yunyan from all directions. Ah! Save me! Seeing the attacks coming at her, Yunyan's face turned pale. She tried her best to escape, but the bolts of lightning and fire weren't something she could escape from. Yunyan did not have the time to run. In an instant, the first attack landed on her body. Ah! Yunyan's screams were unusually shrill. Outside, when she stepped on air, the leader of the elders immediately felt that something was wrong and hurriedly turned around to save her. However, he didn't manage to catch anything. Not only that, but because he stepped on the wrong spot, the leader triggered the entire array's attack system. It should be known that Luo Qingtong had only changed a part of her position, causing Yunyan to fall into an independent space attack. As long as the others stood in the right spot, they would be fine. However, the leader stepped on the wrong spot. It wasn't the spot that Luo Qingtong adjusted, but the spot that would trigger the entire array's attack. In an instant, the entire array was triggered. Oh no! Damn it! After missing a step, the leading elder suddenly reacted. Then his face was filled with shock, anger, and regret. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have tried to save Yunyan. This bastard! I told you not to take the wrong step. You can't take the wrong step. But she stepped on the wrong spot. The leading elder's face was extremely gloomy and angry. Luo Qingtong frowned as she looked at the terrifying attacks coming from all directions. The elder leading the team had actually taken the wrong path. Luo Qingtong's hand glowed as she prepared to attack. At this moment, boom! The entire array shook violently in an instant, and then all the aura disappeared in an instant. Everyone appeared outside the beast-taming valley. The aura of the array had completely disappeared. What's going on? A man who looked like an elder walked out from the beast-taming valley. Did you take the wrong path? He looked at the elder leading the team. The latter had yet to fully recover from the fear of the activation of the formation. Hearing this, he only nodded at him without saying anything. Seeing this, the elder immediately shook his head and said, "Consider yourselves lucky." He said, "We just received news from the Valley Master that Miss Jingyu's birthday banquet is about to begin. In the next few days, the Beast-Taming King Valley will open its gates to welcome guests from all over the world. Otherwise, if you activate the formation like this, I'm afraid you'll die inside." Now that the group had triggered the formation, they would probably die before they could even know and close the formation. He was really lucky. The leading elder also knew the consequences of this, and his expression turned even uglier. The surrounding apprentice disciples finally regained their senses. When they thought about how they were almost killed in the Great Array, their faces turned pale. As for Luo Qingtong, when the array formation disappeared, she quickly retracted the light that lingered on her finger. One had to know that it was best for the array formation to be closed by itself. Otherwise, if Luo Qingtong made a move and left some traces on the array, it would be troublesome. After all, it was the entire array formation that would be triggered. Luo Qingtong wasn't worried about anything else. She was only afraid that the people from the Beast-Taming Valley had some special methods to investigate. Chapter 1853. At this moment, after sending off the elder who had come to investigate, the leading elder turned around with a furious expression. He walked in front of Yunyan. When the array was closed, the latter was thrown out by the independent space of lightning and fire. She was now lying on the ground, groaning in pain. Elder, seeing the angry figure of the leading elder, Yunyan struggled to get up from the ground. Before she could finish her sentence, the elder in charge slapped her across the face and threw her out of the room. "Bastard! If you want to die, then die. Don't drag us down with you." Yunyan was already heavily injured in the space of lightning and fire. After being slapped, she fell to the ground and vomited blood. "Elder, please believe me. I didn't." Yunyan felt an unspeakable grievance in her heart. She was clearly following the leading elder's footsteps. She definitely did not make a mistake. What was going on? How did she trigger the array? Yin Yan felt wronged, but the leading elder was too lazy to care about her. You're still trying to deny it. Unreasonable. After saying that, he turned around and left. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would slap Yin Yan to death. Along the way, she was the most arrogant demon. If not for that, she would not have made a mistake and triggered the array. Now, she was still stubborn and would not admit it even if she was beaten to death. Such a disciple would be useless even if he taught her in the future. He had to report this to the sect. After the leading elder left, the group of apprentices looked at Yin Yan with an unfriendly expression. This woman almost got them killed. Yin Yan had been very arrogant along the way, and they were too lazy to argue with her. Who would have thought that she would make a mistake in the array and would not repent? This woman was too hateful. The group of apprentices had just escaped from death and were still in shock. They looked at Yin Yan with anger. It was obvious that Yin Yan's days in the beast-taming King Valley would not be easy. If she hid her aura and kept her tail between her legs, it would be fine. But if she was still as arrogant as before, she would suffer. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She did not pay attention to Yin Yan and started to observe the surroundings. The entire beast-taming King's Valley was hidden in a valley surrounded by mountains. It was said to be a mountain valley. In reality, this valley was forcibly dug out from the surrounding mountain peaks by someone. The mountain peaks on all sides were as straight as swords. The side closest to the beast-taming King Valley was a perfectly straight cliff that was as smooth as a mirror, enclosing the entire valley in layers. Only the area where Luo Qingtong and the others were located had a gap for people to pass through. As for the other areas, combined with the formation outside the beast-taming King's Valley, it was impossible for anyone to approach. Even if the formation around the beast-taming King Valley was dispelled, the other areas were still extremely difficult to cross. The people from the beast-taming King's Valley really knew how to choose a place to build their sect. However, he must have done this because he was afraid that someone would come looking for trouble, right? Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold. It would be best if the other party did not let her know that the person they had hunted down back then was Luo Jinghong. Otherwise, they would have to repay this debt. After the elder left, a disciple from the beast-taming King Valley came to receive them. Chapter 1854. The beast-taming King Valley disciple who came to receive them told them that because of the birthday banquet, the beast-taming King Valley was very busy and temporarily had no time to arrange their training and whereabouts. He told them to wait until the birthday banquet was over before making arrangements. The group of apprentice disciples all nodded in agreement. Luo Qingtong didn't care. She came here this time not to become a beast-taming master, but to be able to come in and investigate things. The beast-taming King Valley's arrangement was exactly what she wanted, without those messy things to disturb her. What Luo Qingtong did the most every day was to walk around with Yi Qianxian in her arms. While analyzing the defenses in the beast-taming King Valley, she also secretly inquired about the matters of the beast-taming King Valley, especially the matters of those who were being hunted down, and some of the higher-ups. Needless to say, after a few days, she really did inquire about some things. In the beast-taming King Valley, there is a book dedicated to recording such secret matters. All kinds of major events in the beast-taming King Valley will be recorded in it. In the room, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. Beside her sat a black-haired man in silver clothes. The latter's robe was wide, and the lapel was slightly opened, revealing a strong and muscular chest inside. Every time Yi Qianxian was in the room, he would change back to his human form. The room that Luo Qingtong was staying in had already been set up with layers of array formations. No one could barge in casually. As long as someone came, they would immediately trigger the illusion formation and the maze. Even if the higher-ups of the beast-taming King Valley came, they would unknowingly be delayed for a while. This little bit of time was enough for Yi Qianxian to change back into a little fox again. At this moment, he was holding a handkerchief in his hand, rubbing Luo Qingtong's wet hair. Luo Qingtong was half lying on his knee, her black hair like a waterfall, so scattered, mixed with Yi Qianxian's scattered hair. This was originally a very beautiful and romantic thing, but because of a certain man's clumsy movements, Luo Qingtong had to stop halfway and hurriedly stopped him. Hey, wait, you pulled my hair. Luo Qingtong hurriedly raised her hand to protect her head. Was this man rubbing her hair or pulling her hair for her? It wouldn't be long before she became bald. Luo Qingtong's face darkened as she looked at her hair. Because of Yi Qianren's rubbing, her hair was completely mixed with his and it looked like a mess. Oh my God, she was wrong. She shouldn't have ordered this man to do things. She wanted to enjoy the service of a dignified underworld supremacy. My God, how long will it take to untie? The corner of Luo's eyes. And Yi Qianxian's Luo's face. King Valley looked Yi Qianxian's s. He had never served anyone like this before, so he naturally didn't know the technique. At this time, the two people's hair were all tangled together, so they could only slowly find the source, separating this mess bit by bit. Fortunately, Luo Qingtong had blood eyes, otherwise, this mess would be cut with scissors. There was no other way. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian searched there. Suddenly, she burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? Yi Qianxian looked at her with a dark face. I'm laughing at you. Chapter 1855. Haha. She couldn't help but laugh as she fell onto the bed. The two people's hair tangled together, pulling Yi Qianxian's figure involuntarily falling onto the bed. In order to avoid pressing on Luo Qingtong, Yi Qianxian raised his hand to support himself on the edge of the bed. The man's tall and strong figure directly covered Luo Qingtong's slender figure under his body. Yi Qianxian coldly snorted and turned his face away. However, just as he turned his head, Luo Qingtong raised her hand and held him in place. The girl lying on her back below him smiled with a devilish and enchanting face. Do you know that tying hair signifies lovesickness? Luo Qingtong looked at him with a beaming face, then raised her hand to point at the tangled mess between the two of them and laughed. You tied so much hair for me. If I didn't know your temperament, I would have thought that you did it on purpose. Tying hair together, sharing the same white hair. This man probably didn't think of this at all. Luo Qingtong laughed at him when she thought of it. Tying hair. Yi Qianxian looked at his and Luo Qingtong's tangled hair. There was such a meaning? Tying hair to soothe lovesickness? He looked at the girl below who was laughing more and more vigorously, raised his eyebrows, and leaned over to kiss her. Then take it that I did it on purpose. Tying hair to soothe lovesickness, sharing the same white hair. He liked this meaning very much. After knowing that there was such a book in the beast-taming King's Valley, Luo Qingtong began to try to inquire about the whereabouts of this book. However, this already involved the internal secrets of the beast-taming King's Valley, so it wasn't so easy to inquire about. Low-level people simply had no way to come into contact with this kind of thing. Even if their level was slightly higher, they would only know that there was such a thing. As for the specific location, other than the core members of the beast-taming King's Valley, no one else would know. After trying to inquire about it, Luo Qingtong quickly put down her thoughts. Looks like I'll have to wait until after the birthday party. Luo Qingtong carried Yi Qianxian on the way back. After the birthday banquet, these apprentice disciples would be arranged. At that time, he would see if he could get close to the higher-ups. As long as she could get close to those people, Luo Qingtong would have a way to get the information she wanted. What he was afraid of was that he wouldn't even be able to touch it. If that was the case, how long would it take to find out the truth? Luo Qingtong couldn't wait that long. After the eruption of the heaven and earth spirit qi in the land of the deceased immortals, the immortal Jade Bone's aura would weaken in at least 1 to 2 months. She still wanted to go in and improve her strength. Moreover, she still had the map that she had obtained from the Saint Monarch's tomb. She had to go in and take a look. The matter of beast-taming King Valley couldn't be delayed for too long. Roar! Yi Qianxian, who was in her arms, looked indifferent. He wasn't worried that Luo Qingtong wouldn't be able to find out the news. Even if she couldn't find out, so what? After Luo Qingtong entered the land of the deceased immortals and improved her strength, he would directly catch the beast-taming king, Gu Guzhu, and interrogate him about this matter. After all, at that time, he could already take Luo Qingtong away. It didn't matter even if his identity was exposed. But now he couldn't. Well, I know. I'm not in a hurry. Chapter 1856. For the next 2 days, Luo Qingtong didn't go anywhere. On the morning of the third day, a disciple of the beast-taming King's Valley came to inform her that tomorrow would be Miss Jingyu's birthday banquet. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. This was a good opportunity for her. As long as she could leave a deep impression on the higher-ups during the banquet, the chances of her being chosen by them after the banquet was very high. And this wasn't a problem for Luo Qingtong. All right, thank you, senior brother, Luo Qingtong said with a smile. She raised her hand and handed over a few bottles of pills to the disciple. These were left to me by my family. I have no use for them now, so I'll give them to senior brother. Senior brother, can you tell me what I need to pay attention to during the banquet? I'm afraid that I might accidentally offend the elders. The disciple didn't pay much attention to the pills that Luo Qingtong handed over at first, but after taking a look his expression changed. He glanced at Luo Qingtong. They were very familiar with the information of the disciples. This disciple of the beast-taming King Valley knew that Luo Qingtong was being chased on the way, and was rescued by the leading elder. Her family background was probably not bad, so she could take out such good pills. Moreover, he heard that she could control demonic beasts and was very close to them. Although she hadn't been tested to cultivate the beast-taming art, with this kind of affinity, she should be able to cultivate the beast-taming art. Thinking of this, the disciple said, "Junior sister, don't worry, I'll arrange a leisurely job for you. As for the elders, they are very easy to talk to. As long as you don't deliberately offend them, it'll be fine." Moreover, he smiled at Luo Qingtong. With junior sister's talent, you'll definitely be a beast-taming master in the future. During the banquet, you can get closer to the elders. It'll be very beneficial for your selection after the banquet. This beast-taming King Valley disciple had already arranged everything for Luo Qingtong after he received the benefits. He even reminded her to show her face in front of the elders. This way, Luo Qingtong would have a big advantage in the selection of disciples after the banquet. Thank you, senior brother. Luo Qingtong was doing this for this purpose. There were many disciples going to the banquet, and there were many places that needed disciples. If she was assigned to serve dishes or wash dishes, it would be a trap. Cleaning and whatnot was even worse. With the disciples' arrangement, Luo Qingtong could at least guarantee that she would be able to attend the banquet. And she would have enough free time. No need to's thanks, junior sister. The beast-taming King Valley disciple smiled at Luo Qingtong. Since Luo Qingtong's Luo Qingtong, Luo Qingqingtong, Luo Qingtong. Among them Luo Qingtong's Luo. The things she took out were the best. Moreover, this junior sister seemed to give people a very comfortable feeling, so he was naturally willing to return the favor. The beast-taming King's Valley disciple didn't stay for long. He gave Luo Qingtong a token of his own, and told her to bring it when she reported to the banquet. At that time, someone would naturally arrange a leisurely job for her. Chapter 1857. The next day, the Beast-Tamer Valley was bustling with noise and excitement. The sky was filled with the figures of experts breaking through the sky. The Beast-Tamer Valley had opened its gates to the public a few days ago. But those were only experts who had traveled a long way. Those who were closer to the Beast-Tamer Valley had only arrived on the same day. Luo Qingtong arrived at the Beast-Tamer Valley's main hall early in the morning with the rest of the crowd. At this moment, this place had already been vacated by the Beast-Tamer Valley's people for Miss Jingyu's birthday banquet. Luo Qingtong carried Yi Qianxian in her arms and followed the Beast-Tamer Valley's disciple who had arranged the work for her into the main hall. Her gaze swept across the main seat of the hall. There, the Beast-Tamer King Guguju's figure sat upright. Below him, to his right, sat a young girl with a delicate face, but her eyes were filled with pride and arrogance. At this moment, she was saying something to the Beast-Tamer King Guguju, causing the latter to laugh. Luo Qingtong's eyes drooped slightly. If she guessed correctly, this young girl should be Miss Jingyu, the little princess of the Beast-Tamer Valley. She was truly a pampered young girl who grew up. She wondered if it would be easy to get information from her and get close to that book if she stayed by her side. Luo Qingtong seriously pondered. However, she quickly dispelled this thought. Not because of anything else, but because the other party seemed to be very difficult to get along with. This kind of arrogant young girl, it was naturally no problem to coax her. But the problem was that their moods were too fickle. They would fall out with the slightest dissatisfaction. Moreover, wasn't there a good saying? Like repel, opposites attract. Luo Qingtong only wanted to find the whereabouts of that book. Wasn't it the same for her to go to anyone's side to investigate? There was no need to run to the other party's side and be submissive. Most importantly, the man beside her would definitely not agree to it. At that time he would definitely go crazy. Luo Qingtong thought about it and dismissed this idea. She lowered her head and walked past the other party. The job she received was very leisurely, which was to wait for orders in the main hall. In other words, before everyone arrived and the banquet started, Luo Qingtong was very idle. After the banquet started, Luo Qingtong would be very idle. Those bottles of pills were indeed worth it. Luo Qingtong was very satisfied. As Luo Qingtong walked past Miss Jingyu, she suddenly heard the other party say, "I didn't expect Grand Elder to have such a method. If this is the case, then the murderer who killed Senior Han will definitely not be able to escape." Senior Brother Han? The core disciple of the beast-taming King's Valley that she had killed in the western wilderness. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed, and she slowed down a little. A white-haired old man sat beside Jingyu. He nodded and said, "That's right. Han Dong is my grandson. Since he was murdered, I must find the murderer." He sneered and said, "I'm afraid that the other party doesn't know that the amethyst heart fruit I had Han Dong bring back has been specially cultivated. In this world, there is only one. That one was painstakingly cultivated by me. Originally, I only wanted him to use it to lure the lightning beast. After trapping the lightning beast, he would bring the fruit back to me. I didn't expect that he would not come back after leaving," the Grand Elder said with a cold expression. Chapter 1652. Translation. Yi Qianren looked at the evil aura at the corner of her lips and instantly snorted. He did not know what she was up to this time. However, he did not interrupt Luo Qingtong's excitement. Let this woman do whatever she wanted. Even if the sky fell, he would be there to support it. Yi Qianxian brought Luo Qingtong and disappeared from the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Dark night, Great Qi Dynasty's holy capital. Song Yin was throwing a tantrum where the people from the Breeze Pavilion were. "I don't care. I will make that woman suffer." Song Yin covered her bruised and swollen face. She could not get rid of her resentment. That woman called Luo Qingtong was too audacious. She thought about how she had ordered the people from the Breeze Pavilion to stop Luo Qingtong. Not only had she failed, but she had also been beaten up. The bruises on her face had yet to fade. Why? She was just a woman from the secular world. She was just a little genius. How dare she treat her like this? No matter how powerful that Ming Zun from the Black Field was, could he be more powerful than the entire Breeze Pavilion? He was just bullying the strong cultivators from the hidden world. Song Yin was infuriated. Senior Uncle Zhang's face was also very gloomy. The injuries on his legs had been healed. However, he had been forced to crawl out of the Four Academy's grand banquet. It was too humiliating. He still remembered the extreme humiliation that made him want to kill himself. He had arrogantly gone to find trouble with others. In the end, he had been humiliated. He gritted his teeth as he thought of this. We can't find trouble with that Luo Qingtong for now. That Ming Zun from the Black Field was too powerful. He could not defeat him. However, before Song Yen could voice her displeasure, he had already laughed coldly. I can revoke that Luo Qingtong and everyone related to her from entering the hidden world. He then instructed the people around him. Go and tell the people from the other sects that I suspect there is something wrong with the Four Academy's grand banquet. The result of the competition is invalid. Those who won and can enter the hidden world will all be disqualified. Marshal Uncle Zhang's face was very cold. Luo Qingtong's strength had already reached the sage realm. It was reasonable to say that she could rely on this sage realm strength to directly enter the hidden world. However, she had injured someone from the Breeze Pavilion. As long as he reported this matter, he would be able to prevent her from entering. After all, the strength of a sage realm expert was not particularly powerful. As for Luo Qingtong's potential and ability, he was currently the strongest in this secular world. As long as he forced the people from the other sects who knew about this, they would not be able to reveal this matter. When Luo Qingtong heard him say this, she tilted her head slightly and looked at the superior Sirius. It was a black flower. Its velvet-like petals wrapped around the center of the flower and drooped down slightly. This superior Sirius flower could sense the aura of the thunder beast? Then let's destroy it. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered. Then, she closed her eyes again and covered it up. She wouldn't give him the chance to find true Spill Continent. Feng Jingyu, on the other hand, looked at the superior oxypetalum in surprise. Chapter 1859. Doesn't that mean that I can still have that lightning beast? That's great. It's a pity that she didn't contract with that lightning beast in this birthday banquet. But it doesn't matter, she can just contract with that lightning beast after she obtains it. With the beast taming art that she cultivates, she can contract more than one demonic beast. Feng Jingyu's heart is full of pride, and at the same time, she looks at that superior orchid flower with even more joy. Grand Elder, leave your superior Sirius with me for now. After the birthday banquet is over, let's go find the murderer, who killed senior brother Han. Okay. The Supreme Elder naturally agreed without hesitation. To him, it doesn't matter where this superior orchid flower is placed. Moreover, this is the main hall of the beast-taming King Valley. What's wrong with leaving it here? With Feng Jingyu looking after it, he will be more at ease when he goes to socialize with others later. Moreover, he took out this superior orchid flower so that after the birthday banquet, he will bring this superior orchid flower to find the murderer, who killed Han Dong. As long as he knows the whereabouts of the lightning beast, he will definitely be able to find the murderer, who killed Han Dong. The superior orchid flower is left by Feng Jingyu's side. The latter likes it very much and specially asked the people around her to find someone to look after this superior orchid flower. After the birthday banquet, she will bring this superior orchid flower to find the lightning beast. Luo Qingtong looks at the back view of the person who left and follows with narrowed eyes. This senior sister. Luo Qingtong stops that disciple of the beast-taming King Valley. The other party is Feng Jingyu's maid. Seeing Luo Qingtong stop her, her eyes instantly turn serious. What do you want? Her expression is very arrogant, and her tone is also very high and mighty. It's like this, senior sister, I am a new disciple. I want to ask, does Miss Jingyu lack someone to serve her? I hope senior sister can help me out. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she handed over the few bottles of elixirs in her hands. That beast-taming King's Valley disciple originally didn't want to bother with Luo Qingtong. She had seen many disciples like her who wanted to reach the heavens in a single bound. However, when she received the bottles of elixirs, Luo Qingtong deliberately did not cover them tightly. The smell that floated out of the bottles caused her expression to change drastically. This pill's aura was abnormally pure and rich. It was a pill that she could take, but it was of a much higher quality than the pill she could take. She grabbed the bottles of pills, then looked at Luo Qingtong and said, "Good, you've asked the right person. Miss Jingyu still needs someone to take care of her flowers. It's the pot of black adumbra beside Mississippi." She pointed at the pot of adumbra beside Feng Jingyu and said, "Do you see it? As long as you take good care of it, after the birthday banquet, I will naturally put in a good word for you. At that time, you might have a chance to be chosen by Mrs. Side." This beast-taming King's Valley disciple thought that Luo Qingtong wanted to find a good way out. After all, who doesn't know that the allocation of new disciples this time hasn't started yet? The elders and protectors of the various halls have not started to pick people. If the other party could follow by Mrs. Side, it would be a great blessing. In the future, there will be a chance to achieve meteoric success. All right then, thank you, senior sister. Chapter 1860. What she wanted was an opportunity like this. Two birds with one stone. As for the man in her arms, Luo Qingtong quietly reached out and pinched its little paw, telling it to stop messing around. It couldn't come out now. Whether it was in human form or fox form, this man was very attractive. Unfortunately, it didn't have any self-awareness. Luo Qingtong didn't want anyone to take a fancy to it at this banquet. It would be troublesome if that happened. Smack. Luo Qingtong lowered her head and kissed the silver fox's cheek. Then she carried it into the main hall. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Humph. So you're so scheming. You actually bribed senior sister. I underestimated you. I really thought you were an idiot. Yin looked at Luo Qingtong with jealousy. She had seen everything from behind the pillar. She had also heard the words of the beast-taming valley disciple. Thinking that Luo Qingtong would be able to serve Miss Jingyu, she thought that after the banquet, she would have a meteoric rise. She felt a wave of jealousy in her heart. She took a step forward and said, "Night-Eye, give this opportunity to me. Otherwise, I'll report you to the elders. I'll say that you bribed senior sister and wanted to harm Miss Jingyu." Yin raised her head high as she spoke. "Don't forget, you have an unknown background. I know everything about you. If I say that, what do you think will happen to you?" She threatened her. Yin had been having a hard time recently. Ever since she took the wrong path in the array, she had been isolated by everyone. Not only that, but there were also a few people who teamed up to bully her every day. How could Yin endure such a life? She took out all the good things she had in exchange for a chance to serve at the banquet. She wanted to be chosen by someone at the elder level. Then who would dare to bully her again? But who would have thought that before she could come up with a good idea, Luo Qingtong had already climbed up the social ladder of Miss Jingyu and was going to serve her? How could Yin accept this? She wanted to steal Luo Qingtong's opportunity. "Did you hear that?" She looked at Luo Qingtong proudly and said, "Just say that you gave the opportunity to me. Otherwise, I'll report you." Luo Qingtong looked at her coldly. If someone really wanted to court death, there was no way to stop it. Luo Qingtong was still thinking about what kind of good reason, an excuse to get away without leaving any hidden dangers after getting rid of the Adumbra flower. Who would have thought that Yin, the scapegoat, would take the initiative to come knocking on their door? What reason did she have not to fulfill his wish? "All right, I promise you. Don't." Her face was full of panic, as if she was really afraid that Yin would report her. Seeing this, Yin felt even more smug. "Why aren't you leading the way?" She had effortlessly obtained the opportunity to serve by Fang Jingyu's side. Yin was extremely arrogant. She looked as if she had been chosen by Fang Jingyu to be by her side. Seeing her like this, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up, but she murmured reluctantly, "Okay." She walked step by step towards Fang Jingyu's direction. Chapter 1861. Why did you bring someone else with you? Yin expression was extremely unhappy. She didn't give the other party a chance just to give her an inch and take a mile. It was fine if she came alone, but why did she bring someone else with her? Senior sister. Luo Qingtong lowered her head and said in a small voice, I'm not coming." Her voice was slightly choked, as if she was extremely reluctant. "I have something to do. I'll give this chance to her, okay?" Her. The beast-taming valley disciple looked at Yin. The latter hurriedly smiled at the beast-taming valley disciple and said, "Senior sister, it's like this. Something happened to her family. Her dispirited appearance is really unlikable. It's not good for her to serve in front of Miss, so I'm here." As she spoke, she cursed Luo Qingtong in her heart for being so troublesome. She purposely acted like this for the other party. It was a pity that the senior sisters above did not care about their disputes. As expected, although the beast-taming valley disciple didn't look worried, she could already tell that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. But wouldn't this opportunity be given to anyone? Since the other party was willing to give it up, she couldn't be bothered to meddle. All right. Then you can go. She agreed without hesitation and said to Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong responded and walked out, looking back 3 times with each step. She looked like she was reluctant to part with him. Senior sister Yunyan, you must do your best. She tugged at Yunyan's skirt, and a faintly discernible aura covered Yunyan's entire body. Yunyan's face was filled with impatience. All right, hurry up and leave. Yunyan swallowed the words back down her throat and said without any trace of politeness. Her appearance was indescribably arrogant and proud. Okay. Luo Qingtong walked out step by step. When she reached the corridor on the opposite side, her expression suddenly changed. Lazy, casual, domineering, and unrestrained. Where was the slightest bit of reluctance? Let's go, Qianren. Let's go out for a stroll and get some information. We'll come back later to watch the show, she said with a smile. This man must be suffocating in her arms, right? She took it outside to wander around the courtyard. Just avoid the crowd. Roar. Yi Qianxian poked his head out of her arms. His eyes, which seemed to contain countless saber lights and blood swords, were very unhappy. It raised its claws and scratched Luo Qingtong's clothes to vent its anger. Then it jumped out of her arms. That posture was extremely domineering and elegant. But soon, it subconsciously licked its claws, causing its domineering aura to stiffen and turn into ashes. Damn it, this was the instinct of a young fox. Haha. Looking at its stiff and depressed expression, Lu Qingtong hugged it and gave it a kiss. Then, the two of them strolled around the courtyard outside the hall. After strolling for a while, and hearing a lot of news about the hidden world, Luo Qingtong brought Yi Qianxian back. At this moment, in the main hall, there was a sudden scream. The voice was unusually shrill, hysterical, and filled with disbelief. It's here. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed, and she rushed forward in a flash. In the main hall, Yunyan looked at the black Adumbra in front of her in disbelief. Chapter 1862. Seeing this, Yunyan could not help but cry out in pain. How was this possible? What was going on? How did this superior orchid flower end up like this? She looked at this scene in a panic, unable to believe that this was the superior orchid flower that was in front of her just a moment ago. Yunyan's scream alerted a group of people in the main hall. At this moment, everyone was celebrating Fang Jingyu's birthday. The thunder-type beast that needed to be contracted was also being dragged into the main hall by chains. Fang Jingyu was about to start the contract with a smile on her face when she heard Yunyan scream. They looked towards Yunyan's direction. Instantly, Fang Jingyu, the Grand Elder, and the Beast Tamer King Guguju's expressions changed. Swoosh! The Grand Elder was the first to appear in front of Yunyan. He snatched the pot of superior orchid flower away and inserted his aura into it to check. Fang Jingyu and the Beast Tamer King Guguju looked directly at Yunyan. What's going on? The Beast Tamer King Guguju yelled. I don't know. Yunyan looked at the Valley Master, Fang Jingyu, and the Grand Elder rushing over. Her expression was one of panic. I didn't touch it, I was just looking at it, and it. Before she could finish her sentence. Bang! The Grand Elder who snatched the superior orchid flower retracted his aura from the superior orchid flower, and waved his sleeve. A terrifying aura exploded. In an instant, Yunyan's body was sent flying out of the main hall with a scream. Bitch! The Grand Elder's expression darkened. He had already checked. The aura of this superior orchid flower had completely withered. Its life was gone and it couldn't be saved. He had painstakingly cultivated this superior orchid flower, so that he could come back and find out the cause of Han Dong's death. If it wasn't for Fang Jingyu's birthday celebration, he wouldn't have come back. Instead, he would have brought this superior orchid flower to find out who killed Han Dong. Now this superior Sirius was destroyed right in front of his eyes. Speak. What did you do to it? This superior Sirius flower was filled with an aura that countered it, which was why it withered so quickly in such a short period of time. Because this kind of aura was not strong, it was very gentle. It was a kind of aura that was slowly eroding and then suddenly erupting. Therefore, the passers-by did not notice it. By the time he noticed that the superior Sirius flower had withered, it was already too late. This could only be done by someone who had always been by its side. This B*TCH still dared to say that it had nothing to do with her. The Supreme Elder's face was filled with anger. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to keep Yunyan alive to interrogate her and ask her why she attacked Yu Tanhua, he would have torn her to shreds with that strike. He actually dared to attack his superior Sirius right in front of him. How dare the other party? Who on earth sent them? Was he also responsible for Han Dong's death? Thinking of this, the anger in the Supreme Elder's heart flared up. Speak. Who on earth ordered you to do this? He suddenly took a step forward, and with a boom, the floor under his feet suddenly exploded and rolled forward. Pooh. Chapter 1863. I really don't know. Yunyan was already terrified by this series of attacks. The Grand Elder controlled his attacks perfectly. He didn't kill her, but made her wish she was dead. At this moment, she felt as if her bones and flesh had been smashed millions of times. She lay on the ground and cried bitterly. I don't know. I really don't know. Yunyan's heart was filled with fear. She snatched this job from Luo Qingtong's hands and thought that she would have a meteoric rise in the future. She didn't think that this was a job of death. Why did the superior orchid flower suddenly wither? She didn't even touch it. Yunyan cried bitterly, her heart filled with regret. If she knew this would happen, she wouldn't have taken this job from Luo Qingtong. She should have just let her die. Grand Elder Valley Master Miss, I really don't know what happened. She lay on the ground and cried. If it wasn't you, then who was it? Fang Jingyu's face was cold. She was also very angry in her heart. She asked the Grand Elder to keep the superior orchid flower by her side, but something happened. Not to mention anything else. Just this point alone made her unsure of how to explain it to the other party. For something like this to happen at her birthday party, she felt terrible. The way she looked at Yunyan was full of disgust and disgust. Trash. Trash. She couldn't even take care of a flower. She even dared to beg for mercy. You said it wasn't you. Then who else touched this superior orchid flower before and after you? As soon as she spoke, Yunyan's face turned pale. No one. No one else touched this superior orchid flower before and after her. Yunyan took this job from Luo Qingtong. She was counting on it to have a meteoric rise. She protected this superior orchid flower like an eyeball. Everyone who wanted to get close to this superior orchid flower was scared away by Yunyan using Fang Jingyu's name. Therefore, she couldn't find a reason to say that this had nothing to do with her. But I really didn't. I didn't. Yunyan broke down and cried. Only now did she know what kind of dead end she was walking on. And this path of no return was something she had forcefully snatched and maintained by herself. She really didn't touch this Adumbra. He really didn't. Grand Elder Valley Master, young miss, please believe me. She wept bitterly. As for Luo Qingtong, when she heard the Grand Elder interrogate Yunyan about who had instructed her, her eyes suddenly flickered. She suddenly thought of who she should shift the blame to. I know, Luo Qingtong said timidly at this moment. Her voice instantly attracted the attention of the Grand Elder, Beast Tamer King Guguju, and Fang Jingyu. You. They looked at Luo Qingtong, who was walking out of the crowd. When Yunyan saw Luo Qingtong walk out from the crowd, her eyes widened. You. Bitch, you're trying to harm me. Yunyan was about to go crazy. She didn't do anything, but Luo Qingtong stood out and said she had done it. This bitch wanted to harm her. She thought about how she had taken this job from Luo Qingtong. That was why she had ended up like this. Her emotions became even more agitated. She climbed up from the ground and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. However, she had only taken 2 steps forward when she was stopped by a man. Chapter 1864. With a boom, the Grand Elder waved his sleeve and sent it flying towards her. She fell to the ground and spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. She was on the verge of death. Speak. The Grand Elder's face was cold. He looked at Luo Qingtong. Yes. Luo Qingtong's face revealed a look of fear. She timidly glanced at Yun Yan, then said to the Grand Elder and the others, I saw her interact with someone like that. As she spoke, she drew out a medallion. Someone from Celestial Palace? Seeing the badge that Luo Qingtong drew, the Grand Elder and the Beast Tamer King Guguju's faces darkened. What Luo Qingtong drew was none other than the emblem of Celestial Palace. Furthermore, it was a badge that only someone from Celestial Palace could wear. So the Celestial Palace was the one behind all this. Their faces were filled with anger. Yun Yan, on the other hand, shouted loudly, I didn't. You're lying. What Celestial Palace? She didn't know anything about them. This bitch was slandering her. Before Luo Qingtong could say anything, the Grand Elder had already flicked his sleeves fiercely and knocked all of her teeth out with a bang. Shut up. His voice was cold. Then he looked at Luo Qingtong. What proof do you have? The Supreme Elder's expression was extremely solemn at this moment. When he saw Luo Qingtong draw that emblem, he was already 70 to 80% convinced of this matter. After all, Luo Qingtong and the others had no chance to interact with such a high-level person from Celestial Palace. How could she draw the badge they wore? This meant that she had seen them before. But just in case, he continued to ask. Yes. Under Yin Yan's piercing gaze, Luo Qingtong nodded timidly, then took out something. This was dropped by that person when they met. Luo Qingtong took out something that belonged to the Celestial Palace enforcers. Luo Qingtong only needed to casually take out a representative, and it would be enough to convict the people from the Supreme Heaven Palace. After all, how would the people from Celestial Palace explain to the Grand Elder and the others where the enforcers from Celestial Palace went? To find the secret map of the land of the fallen immortals? The people from Celestial Palace would only say that if they were crazy, they would only keep their mouths shut. Not only that, but they would also secretly guess that the deaths of the 3 enforcers from Celestial Palace had something to do with the Beast Tamer King's Valley. Was the map of the fallen immortal in the hands of the Beast Taming King's Valley? They didn't dare to ask so openly, so they could only guess in their hearts. Then this enmity was set. Not only would the people from Beast Tamer King's Valley think that the people from Celestial Palace were the murderers, but the people from Celestial Palace would also think that the people who stole the map of the land of the fallen immortals were from Beast Tamer King's Valley. Because the time of Han Dong's death and the opening of the Saint King's tomb matched, Luo Qingtong only needed the Grand Elder's questioning to figure out the entire plan. Not only that, but she also immediately executed it. Now it seemed that there were no problems. Whoa, Yin Yan's teeth were all broken. Chapter 1865. This bitch set her up. She didn't do anything. Where did she get those things from? Yin Yan's heart was filled with terror and fear. Only now did she realize what a terrifying trap she had fallen into. This was a trap set up by Luo Qingtong. The one who colluded with the Celestial Palace was none other than Luo Qingtong. She purposely let her steal the opportunity to take care of the superior Sirius. She wanted to find a scapegoat. She succeeded. Yin Yan would never be able to clear her name. Yin Yan's body trembled violently out of fear and dread. As for the Supreme Elder and the Beast Tamer King Guguju, their faces darkened when they saw what Luo Qingtong had taken out. Put this thing away. The Supreme Elder ordered the people around him with a solemn expression. Whether or not this thing belonged to the Celestial Palace, and who it belonged to, he would naturally investigate thoroughly. If this was really done by the Celestial Palace, he would definitely make them pay the price. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's face also darkened. The people of the Celestial Palace were too daring. They dared to provoke the Beast Tamer King's Valley. This wasn't over. If they didn't give him a proper explanation, he would definitely let them know what the consequences were. Both of their faces darkened. The surrounding crowd was already dumbfounded by what they saw. This was actually done by the Celestial Palace. Oh my God! What was going on with the people of the Celestial Palace? They dared to provoke the Beast Tamer King's Valley. Most of the experts present were from the Beast Tamer King's Valley. There were very few people from the other sections. Most of them just sent people to deliver the gifts, and then left. After all, the land of the fallen immortals was about to open. They were all anxious to increase their strength. Moreover, the person celebrating the birthday was a junior, Fang Jingyu, and the beast tamer King Guguju. Naturally, there was no need to be so serious. Even so, there were still many people from the other sects who came. At this moment, their hearts were filled with shock. Something big was about to happen in the hidden world. The guests didn't really know what was going on. They only knew that the people of Celestial Palace seemed to have colluded with the disciples of Beast Tamer King's Valley, and did something that angered the Grand Elder and Beast Tamer King Guguju. After all, the fact that the Supreme Elder had planted the superior Sirius epiphyllum, which could be used to find Han Dong's murderer, was not made public. However, it was precisely because of this that the Supreme Elder and the others were furious. They had just thought of a way to find Han Dong's murderer, when something happened to Adumbra. They wouldn't believe that the Celestial Palace wasn't watching their beast-taming King Valley. If the Celestial Palace was really behind this, then it was very likely that they were the murderers of Han Dong. Provoking the beast-taming King's Valley like this was not putting their prestige in their eyes. How infuriating! Could it be that the Celestial Palace wanted to replace the beast-taming King's Valley as a first-class sect? The beast tamer King Guguju and the Supreme Elder had all kinds of conspiracy theories in their hearts. If it wasn't for the fact that the birthday banquet wasn't over yet, they would have rushed down the mountain and settled the score with the people of Celestial Palace. The beast tamer King Guguju forcefully suppressed his anger. He planned to wait until the birthday banquet was over before making any plans. Chapter 1866. Wait. She looked at Luo Qingtong. I just saw you. You came here with her. What did you say to my maid? She pointed at Yin Yan. Obviously, the word her was referring to Yin Yan. The two of us came to exchange jobs. When Luo Qingtong exchanged jobs with Yin Yan, she knew that she would be questioned and questioned. She didn't panic. She looked at Fang Jingyu and said in a low voice, "This superior orchid flower should have been taken care of by me. But senior sister Yin Yan found me and asked me to give this job to her. Otherwise, she would go to the Valley Master and say that my background is unknown and that I want to harm you. I was afraid so." So you exchanged jobs with her? Fang Jingyu's expression was cold, and her voice was furious. Do you know that you destroyed my superior orchid flower? Fang Jingyu was furious. So it was because of this. The other party exchanged jobs with Yin Yan. That was why the latter had the chance to get close to the superior orchid flower and attack it. Fang Jingyu didn't care if Luo Qingtong had her reasons for exchanging jobs with Yin Yan. She only knew that because of the other party's actions, the superior orchid flower was destroyed. Why should I believe you? Fang Jingyu said coldly. Who knows if you gave this job to her on purpose? Were those people from Celestial Palace in contact with you? A cold glint flashed across Luo Qingtong's eyes the moment she said that. This little princess of beast-taming King's Valley, Miss Jingyu, wanted to vent her anger on her? Luo Qingtong didn't believe that the other party didn't think of asking her maid. As long as she asked the disciple of beast-taming King's Valley, the matter would be clear. She was so unwilling at that time. Anyone could see it clearly. But now, the other party might not tell the truth. As expected, the disciple of beast-taming King's Valley immediately shivered after hearing Fang Jingyu's words. She knew that the young miss was very angry. Whoever was involved in this matter would be in big trouble. Not only that, but she was also the one who had agreed to Luo Qingtong and Yin Yan's exchange. If it wasn't for this, even if Luo Qingtong requested it herself, Yin Yan might not be able to get close to the superior Sirius, let alone make a move on it. If the young miss knew about this, she would be finished. With that thought in mind, the beast-taming King's Valley disciple steeled his resolve to keep this matter a secret. I'll just let this girl take the blame for this. She looked at Luo Qingtong, her eyes twinkling. Luo Qingtong looked at her eyes and knew that the other party would not stand up to speak. Not only that, but she would also confirm that he was in cahoots with Yin Yan. However, since Luo Qingtong dared to give this job to Yin Yan, How could she not have considered this? Just as she was about to speak, a figure suddenly stood out from the crowd. I can testify for her. What she said is all true. That figure's voice was weak, but it was unusually firm. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong was surprised. She immediately raised her head to look in the direction of the voice. When she saw who it was, she was even more surprised. Not because of anything else, but because the person who stood out was Yun Shi, Yin Yan's older sister. On the other side, when Fang Jingyu vented her anger on Luo Qingtong, Yin Yan was so happy that she almost went crazy. Haha. The other party had caused her to be in this state. Now she was going to be buried with her. Chapter 1867. This be *tch. They're working together to deal with me. She struggled with all her might and screamed loudly, but no one paid any attention to her. Who are you? Fang Jingyu looked in Yin Shi's direction with an unfriendly expression. Why were things happening one after another today? Was there an end to it? I am Yin Yan's sister. Yin Shi pointed at Yun Yan, who was struggling and rolling on the ground. She lowered her head to hide the hatred and pleasure in her eyes. I can prove that junior sister Tong is telling the truth. She did come into contact with outsiders, but I didn't know that they were from Celestial Palace and were trying to harm the Beast Tamer Valley. I also know that she threatened junior sister Tong to change her job. I just didn't expect that she was working for Celestial Palace. Yin Yan betrayed the Beast Taming King Valley. As her elder sister, I cannot shirk my responsibility. Valley Master and Miss, please punish me. But junior sister Tong is innocent. Please, Valley Master and Mississippi. Yin Shi knelt down as she spoke. Yin Yan's sister? Fang Jingyu frowned slightly. If this was the case, then she did have the right to testify for Luo Qingtong. After all, no one knew Yin Yan better than she did. As soon as Yin Shi spoke, she cleared Luo Qingtong of any suspicions and pinned the blame on Yin Yan. If even her own sister said so, then there was no doubt that Yin Yan was in cahoots with the Celestial Palace. Ooh. Yin Yan struggled with all her might. She couldn't believe that Yin Shi was the one who gave her the final blow. This submissive girl, who had always been bullied by her and didn't dare to resist, gave her a fatal blow in the end. Not only that, but she also helped her enemy escape a calamity. Yin Yan's eyes were wide open. She was so enraged by this scene that she almost fainted. Until she lost consciousness, she couldn't believe that she would end up like this. It was just a moment of greed, but in the end, she almost lost her life. Drag her away. The Beast Tamer King Guguju said coldly. Yin Yan could not die just yet. They still had to interrogate her to find out what the Celestial Palace wanted to do, and what other ambitions they had for the Beast Taming King Valley. One could only imagine how miserable Yin Yan would be in the future. Because she didn't know anything about the Celestial Palace, the Beast Taming King's Valley would think that she didn't want to talk about it. After dragging Yin Yan away, the Beast Tamer King Guguju looked at Yin Shi. Alright, get up. You have done well in this matter, placing righteousness before family. The Celestial Palace matter ends here. All of you leave, he said to Yin Shi and Luo Qingtong. He couldn't disappoint the Beast Taming King's Valley's disciples. Luo Qingtong and Yun Shi had both stood up to expose the people from Celestial Palace, which was a meritorious deed. If he were to punish them because of this, who would dare to stand up for the Beast Taming King's Valley in the future? Not only would they not be credited, but they would also be punished. When Yun Shi stood up, Luo Qingtong knew that this matter was settled. Yun Shi's words were more effective than 1,000 or 10,000 of her own words. As for why Yun Shi wanted to help her, Luo Qingtong already had a vague guess in her heart. It seemed that this Yun Shi was not a coward. The two of them left the main hall. As for Fang Jingyu, she was still very unhappy. Chapter 1868. She also had the intention of biting the hand that fed her. After all, Luo Qingtong had exposed Yin Yan's collusion with Celestial Palace. Thinking about this, she could only suppress her anger and continue with the birthday banquet. Because of the wilting of the superior orchid, she still hadn't formed a contract with the demon beast. The birthday banquet continued in the main hall. On the other hand, Luo Qingtong and Yun Shi went to the garden at the back. Thank you for this time. When there was no one around, Yun Shi lowered her head and nodded at Luo Qingtong. The latter raised her eyebrows and looked at her. Shouldn't I be the one thanking you? I should be the one thanking you. Yun Shi looked at her and shook her head softly. You dealt with Yin Yan first, that's why I stood up. Don't worry, although I don't know why you want to frame Celestial Palace, I will help you. Yin Yan betrayed the beast-taming valley, there is no doubt about this. I won't give her a chance to stand up again. Yun Shi's expression was unusually determined. She and Yin Yan had always been polar opposites. She had no support in her family. Even in the beast-taming valley, Yin Yan's talent was stronger than hers. If nothing unexpected happened, she could only be suppressed by Yin Shi for the rest of her life, be bullied and humiliated by her, and be a slave. But now something unexpected had happened. She looked at Luo Qingtong. She didn't know what the other party had done, what had happened to the wilting of the superior orchid, and who had done it. But the other party had helped her deal with Yin Yan. That was why she had stood up at the last moment to help Luo Qingtong. In fact, she was also helping herself. At that time, it was the best time to show her face, and she could step on Yin Yan and make a great contribution. Why didn't she do that? Rather than saying that she was helping Luo Qingtong, it was better to say that she was helping herself. At the same time, she would step on Yin Yan even deeper, so that she would fall into the abyss and never be able to rise again. Okay. Luo Qingtong looked at her and nodded. This delicate-looking girl was not simple. Since she was willing to help her, Luo Qingtong was happy to relax. At least, with Yin Shi's words, Celestial Palace would definitely take the blame this time. She would not leave any hidden dangers on her side. While I'm still in the beast-taming King Valley, you can come find me if you need any help. She nodded to Yin Shi and said, when the time comes, I will do my best to help you. All right. Yin Shi glanced at Luo Qingtong in surprise. When she was still in the beast-taming King Valley, could it be that she would leave in the future? But she was a beast tamer, the most promising one in the beast-taming King Valley. Where else could she go? Yin Shi looked surprised, but she didn't say anything. Luo Qingtong's origin was mysterious. Everyone thought that the two sisters were acquainted with her. However, only they knew that they had only met Luo Qingtong once. She was now in the beast-taming King Valley to take refuge, right? Thinking of how Luo Qingtong had been hunted down before, Yin Shi felt that she seemed to have discovered the truth. Your enemy is Celestial Palace? She asked carefully, and then said to Luo Qingtong, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Luo Qingtong looked at her with a smile. What did it matter if she told anyone or not? She had helped her in public before, so they were on the same side. If she told anyone about this, was she waiting for the people of the beast-taming King Valley to find trouble with her? You can say that. Chapter 1869. The Celestial Palace was indeed one of her enemies, but it was only one of them. Moreover, it wouldn't be long before they became a thing of the past. Luo Qingtong and Yin Shi didn't stay in the garden for too long. They still had to help out at the banquet. The beast tamer King Guguju asked them to leave, but he didn't ask them to go back. They still had to do what they had to do. However, just as they walked out of the garden, they heard a violent and uncontrollable roar of a beast coming from the direction of the main palace. Roar, accompanied by the roar of the beast. The sound of lightning flashing and thunder seemed to light up in the main hall in front of them. A large area of crackling lightning suddenly spread out. What was going on? Luo Qingtong and Yin Shi looked at each other. The latter's eyes were full of surprise, while Luo Qingtong just raised her eyebrows. In the main hall, Fang Jingyu should be contracting a demonic beast. Why did something go wrong? At this moment, the main hall was in chaos. Everyone was watching Fang Jingyu contracting a demonic beast. Unexpectedly, the thunder-type demonic beast, which had been pulled into the main hall and was waiting quietly for Fang Jingyu to contract, suddenly became agitated and went crazy when she approached. No matter how much the beast tamers from the Beast Tamer King's Valley scolded and released their pressure, it was useless. The wildness and violence in its body seemed to have been ignited in an instant. With a boom, it knocked Fang Jingyu, who was standing in front of it and was about to contract with it, flying out. Bastard! Seeing this scene, the Beast Tamer King Guguju was furious. He immediately attacked the Thunder-type demonic beast. However, after knocking Fang Jingyu away, the Thunder-type demonic beast rushed into the crowd. There were many people in the main hall who came to watch the banquet, but not everyone's strength was incomparably strong. This Thunder-type demonic beast crashed into the crowd and instantly caused waves of screams. The strong people in the crowd were afraid of the people around them, and didn't dare to rashly attack with all their strength. The Beast Tamer King Guguju could only angrily withdraw his majestic strength. Otherwise, even if the demonic beast was captured, more than half of the people in the main hall would be killed or injured. Bastard! What the hell is going on? It was supposed to be Fang Jingyu's most dazzling and glorious birthday party, but problems kept popping up one after another. The Beast Tamer King Guguju was furious. At this moment, Fang Jingyu's figure had already been caught by the Supreme Elder, who had leaped into the air. She didn't suffer any injuries, but her complexion was very ugly. No matter who it was a slap in the face for something like this to happen at his birthday party. What the hell is going on? Why did this rushing thunder beast suddenly go crazy? The rushing thunder beast was one of the strongest thunder sacred beasts. Although it couldn't be compared to the thunder beast, it was still very powerful compared to other thunder beasts. Fang Jingyu had chosen to form a contract with it this time, but she hadn't expected it to go berserk halfway through. If it weren't for the numerous experts from the Beast Taming King's Valley by her side, that collision would have been enough to kill it. One had to know that the rushing thunder beast specialized in speed. Coupled with its lightning power, Fang Jingyu didn't even have the chance to react to that attack. It's the Adumbra flower in your hand. I forgot to tell you, the Adumbra flower can only be seen and not touched. Chapter 1870. The Supreme Elder said with a frown. He didn't expect Fang Jingyu to like the superior orchid flower so much. Looking at the rushing thunder beast's frenzied appearance, she probably had a lot of superior orchid flower in her hands. This kind of flower fragrance was something that humans could not smell. Only demonic beasts could smell it. He cultivated this superior orchid flower to complement the purple heart fruit, to stimulate the rushing thunder beast's strength and growth. This superior orchid flower fragrance could make the rushing thunder beast enter a frenzied state at any time without any side effects. It was a very good frenzied agent. This rushing thunder beast was also stimulated by the superior orchid flower fragrance. Hearing this, Fang Jingyu, who was originally furious and thought that someone wanted to harm her, was embarrassed and stunned. So all of this was caused by her? Fang Jingyu didn't expect that just because she liked the superior orchid flower and touched it a few more times, it would turn out like this. Her birthday banquet was ruined by her own hands. Then what do we do now? She looked at the Supreme Elder. We can only kill it by force. This rushing thunder beast absorbed too much of the superior orchid flower fragrance when you were near. We don't know how long this frenzied state will last. If we delay any longer, I'm afraid there will be casualties in the main hall. The Supreme Elder looked at the scene in front of him and had a headache. What the hell is going on here? A good birthday banquet turned into a mess in the end. If there were casualties among the guests who came to congratulate because of this, it would be the biggest joke. All right. Beast Tamer King Guguju listened from the side and immediately said coldly, all elders and protectors of Beast Tamer King Valley, attack together and kill this rushing thunder beast. Although without a monster contract, this would make Fang Jingyu's birthday banquet a laughingstock. But if they didn't do this, the entire Beast Tamer King Valley would become a laughingstock. After weighing the two options, Beast Tamer King Guguju could only choose the lesser of two options. The group of Beast Tamer King Valley people heard the order, and immediately attacked the rushing thunder beast together. The reason why so many people attacked together was because the main hall was full of people. They couldn't use too much strength, otherwise, the rushing thunder beast would be fine, but most of the guests who came to celebrate would die. If this were to spread, it would be a laughing stock. If it wasn't for this, Fang Jingyu wouldn't have needed so many people from the beast-taming King's Valley to act. Any elder would be able to kill it with a sweep of their sleeves. After all, the beast-taming King Valley was a first-rate sect, and their elders were all above the sage emperor realm. However, at this moment, these elders couldn't use their powerful strength and combat skills. He could only use his physical strength to deal with the rushing thunder beast. Boom, boom, boom. The people from beast-taming King's Valley had their misgivings, but this thunder beast didn't. It rampaged through the beast-taming King Valley's discussion hall. Large amounts of lightning energy surged out from its body, forming a large net as it moved forward. The guests screamed again and again. Some of the more powerful people were standing at the front, blocking the lightning attacks. They could not use their strongest powers to deal with the rushing thunder beast, and could only passively defend against it. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.